Chapter 438. Although he did not know the specific effects, he could feel that Yen had become stronger again. Once such a turnaround move was used, it would definitely be able to kill the enemy instantly. Normally, after beating up the opponent, a normal soul master would be in a state of exhaustion. Using such a soul skill at this time was simply too powerful. Roar! Yen roared hoarsely and stomped his feet. Boom! Hot magma suddenly burst out from under Wang Feng's feet. Wang Feng frowned slightly and jumped lightly. The black light under his feet condensed into a small shield. The magma exploded on the shield, and Wang Feng used this huge impact to attack Yen again. Long-range attack? It was indeed a very good 10,000-year soul skill. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, a few more streams of magma exploded from the ground, but Wang Feng accurately predicted them all. He stepped on the shield and used the momentum brought by the explosion of the magma to directly smash down on Yen with the hammer again. But this time, Yen did not fly out. Instead, he retreated more than 10 meters, and his chest was smashed into a depression. Roar! But Yen did not seem to feel anything and attacked Wang Feng again. With every step he took, a magma pillar would appear on the ground and then explode. No sense of pain? Wang Feng was a little surprised. Also, his body automatically absorbed most of the force of the giant hammer. Is this enough to be immune to some physical attacks? This soul skill is indeed quite strong. Probably after testing out Yan's soul skill, Wang Feng's eyes turned cold. Looking at Yen, who was attacking him, he did not hesitate. The god-slaying spear in his hand flashed, and the tip of the spear was like a cold light that easily cut his opponent's arm. Flames curled up. Clearly, his opponent was not immune to the god-slaying spear's attack in his current state. His wound was broken and the pain hit his soul. Although he had lost his sense of pain, it was only his body that had lost it, not his soul. Yen covered the wound on his arm and groaned. The skin on his body quickly recovered to its original state. After returning to his original state, his body was covered in wounds. He looked at Wang Feng with fear in his eyes. Da-da-da. Yen took a few steps back and sat on the ground. He endured the pain from the god-slaying spear and did not cry out. I lost. Yan's voice trembled as he squeezed out a few words. Seeing this, the audience was in an uproar. Evil Moon and Hulaina hurried forward to support Yen, and then several healing-type soul masters came over one after another. This gun again. Ning Fengji whispered, Uncle Jian, can you see anything about this spear? 2 days ago, when you weren't around, this kid also used this spear to easily defeat a soul master from the Star Luo Empire who possessed the berserk beast martial soul. This spear, the sword Douluo furrowed his brows slightly. That spear is imbued with a dense baleful aura, and it possesses extremely powerful offensive power. He only used his spear to lightly graze Yan's skin, yet he was able to inflict a wound on him. However, such a small wound had caused Yen so much pain and injury. It's really incredible. I'm afraid the offensive power of this spear is not inferior to my 7-kill sword. It also possesses some special effects. The two of them were communicating via voice transmission. Hearing this, Ning Fengji's expression became even more solemn. This 9-to-1 split was really too terrifying. At this moment, not only the two of them, but even Pope Bibidon was looking at the mysterious spear in Wang Feng's hand, and a strange look appeared in his eyes. As for the other two titled Douluo, other than the ghost Douluo, he couldn't tell what they were thinking. The chrysanthemum Douluo furrowed his brows slightly. I'll go. Evil Moon walked out with an extremely gloomy expression. Although the 9-to-1 split didn't seem to be too heavy, Yan's situation was very strange, and he had already been carried to the back for treatment. Brother, be careful. Hulaina furrowed her brows and said, that 9-to-1 split is very strange. Evil Moon nodded. He knew this without needing to be reminded. Walking onto the square, the two moonblades in his hands flashed with a cold light. Use your most powerful soul skills. A hoarse voice slowly sounded from his opponent's mouth. Evilmoon's face flashed with anger. What a 9-1 split. Then I'll show you. Yen was injured. The three of them had fought side by side for many years, but there was still some camaraderie between them. Initially, he wanted to hide his strength, but he couldn't care less now. With that, the 4 soul rings on Evilmoon's body lit up one after another. As an assault-type tool martial soul, there were relatively few amplification-type soul skills. Most of them were focused on various special attacks. Soul skill, Moon Shadow. The first yellow soul ring suddenly lit up. Evilmoon suddenly threw out the moonblade in his hand. In an instant, the moonblade transformed into dozens of light shadows, appearing from all angles, making it difficult to distinguish the real from the fake. If he attacked like this, it would be very difficult for the enemy to defend, because there were only 2 real ones here. But Evilmoon didn't attack. Instead, he released his second soul skill, Moon Dance. The second yellow soul ring suddenly lit up. Dozens of light shadows quickly condensed and suddenly danced in the air. Like dozens of moonblades, they spun and danced in the air, cutting out countless air forces. Moon Dance allowed his 2 moonblades to stay in midair, and through high-speed rotation, enhanced their attack power and confusion. The combination with his first soul skill was the most perfect. The combination of these 2 moves could completely trap the enemy in these moonblades and strangle them. In addition to having a continuous attack, it also had a super strong control ability. But it was still not over. Immediately afterward, the 2 purple 1000-year soul rings on Evilmoon's body lit up one after another. Soul skill, Blood Moonblade. Soul skill, Shattered Moon Star. The countless moon blades suddenly emitted rays of bloodthirsty light. Each moonblade also shone with a dark light, like a star. Of these 2 soul skills, one of them was an amplification of the moonblade's ability. Not only could it increase the attack power, but it also had a simple bloodthirsty effect. Once it attacked the enemy, it would cause the enemy to fall into a state of crazy bleeding. The Shattered Moon Star was similar to a soul skill after it was activated. Every moonblade was broken down into fragments and attacked indiscriminately. Each of Evilmoon's skills could be released individually, and they were all very powerful. But the advantage of a tool martial soul over a beast martial soul was that it could release a complete set of soul skill combo. Once it was used, the effect would be multiplied. Evilmoon's set of soul skill combo included control, confusion, attack, and various other special effects. Not only did it have extremely high lethality to a single person, but it also had a devastating effect on a group. To be able to become a member of the Golden Generation with a tool martial soul, Evilmoon still had some skills. Attack. A sharp light flashed in Evilmoon's eyes. With a thought, countless moonblades were ready to be released. Do you think I don't know how to use so many tricks? Wang Feng smiled. End of this chapter. Chapter 439. Wang Feng waved his sleeves as he saw the countless moonblades coming towards him. Countless black lights flashed and attacked the dozens of spinning moonblades. The mysterious underworld spike wasn't inferior in terms of quantity. Furthermore, his opponent's soul skill had a very fatal flaw. Only 2 of the crescent blades were real, while the rest were illusions formed from soul power. Even though they were enhanced by a few soul skills and possessed offensive capabilities, they were still a type of energy body. The mysterious underworld spike specialized in breaking this type of energy. The black lights clashed with the countless moonblades. Instantly, a dazzling light exploded in the air, and the countless moonblades were penetrated by the black lights. Ping ping ding ding, the sharp sound was like an irregular melody. After only a few seconds, all the blood-colored moonblades were destroyed, and only 2 real moonblades were left, dancing and spinning in the air. Evilmoon was stunned when he saw this scene. He didn't expect his 4-skill combo to be so easily broken by his opponent. How was he going to continue this fight? Naturally, he could also see those black lights clearly. They were short thorns, densely packed together and uncountable. No wonder his soul bone could change into various forms. However, such a large number of short thorns required soul power to control. Did he have enough soul power? A rank 45 soul master only needed a trace of soul power to control so many short thorns. Evil Moon might not even be able to do it if he was at rank 56. Evil Moon broke out in cold sweat. He wasn't stupid, and could naturally analyze these problems. How could a rank 45 soul master's soul power be more durable than a rank 56 soul master's? However, his soul power rank must have been tested, and it couldn't be fake. This meant that his opponent's soul power was strange. No wonder he was so strong. Do you still have any soul skills? Wang Feng's hoarse voice was like a song from hell, and it made Evil Moon shiver. Evil Moon took a deep breath and withdrew his 2 moonblades. Immediately after, he gently pierced the tip of the crescent blade into his chest, although it was very light. It still pierced his skin. Blood gushed out from the tip and flowed into the entire moonblade. In just a moment, this silver-white moonblade had truly become a blood-colored blade. Pitch-black soul rings suddenly lit up from his body. Evil Moon's eyes glowed with a bloody light, and his whole body was surrounded by a visible purple-red aura. Soul skill, Mad Devil Evil Moon. Evil Moon muttered the name of the soul skill, which was full of a childish aura, and his face became evil. Wang Feng frowned slightly. At this time, Evil Moon's aura soared in an instant. His overall strength had at least doubled. Ha ha ha! Evil Moon's figure flashed and attacked Wang Feng at an extremely fast speed. He even laughed evilly. Seeing this, Wang Feng was a little surprised. Evil Moon was only a tool soul master, but his speed was comparable to a rank 60 agility type soul master. There was also a series of evil smiles on his face, which was incomparably demonic. Then, Evil Moon attacked Wang Feng. His attack speed was extremely fast, one move after another, interspersed with a few other soul skills from time to time. Clearly, he had entered a special state of attack. It was similar to the emptiness realm, but in comparison, it was many times worse. But it had to be said that Evil Moon's combat strength was extremely strong at this time. Evidently, this 10,000-year soul skill wasn't simple at all. As they fought, Wang Feng defended and Evil Moon attacked. But Wang Feng slowly perceived the effect of Evil Moon's soul skill, Mad Devil Evil Moon. As the name suggests, enter a state of madness. Speed, strength, and reaction are greatly improved. Although the soul skill couldn't be used at will, several soul skills could be interspersed in the attack, which was impossible to guard against. Even a rank 60 soul master would find it difficult to withstand this kind of reaction attack from the opponent. At this time, Evil Moon was already comparable to Wang Feng's first-grade strength. Only his strength was slightly inferior. He was a little stronger than Zhan Xiaotian, who had been enhanced to the limit before, but the opponent's soul power was draining very quickly. This was a strong, explosive soul skill. It didn't last long, but it was really strong. With his first-grade strength, it was no exaggeration to say that among the 7 people, Tang San was the only one who could withstand it with the Tang Sect's martial arts. These 3 people are each stronger than the other. Little San and the others, it seems to depend on this hyena. Wang Feng estimated in his heart while leisurely dodging Evil Moon's attacks. Suddenly, he found that it seemed that Tang San and the others were really in danger. At this time, seeing that 9 openings was defending, many soul masters of the Martial Spirit Hall finally breathed a sigh of relief. Especially on the Martial Spirit Hall Academy's side. Brother's 5th soul skill has a super explosive power. Even a rank 60 soul emperor would find it difficult to resist. Hulayina was a little excited. I didn't expect that 9 openings could be dodged to this extent. It seems that we have a chance to win. The reason why Yen and Evil Moon were so desperate was that, first, Shrek was not present and couldn't see. Second, as long as they won, they could rest and prepare for tomorrow's final. At that time, they would be the winners. Third, as members of the Golden Generation, they naturally didn't want to lose. However, bang! As Wang Feng thought about it, he suddenly loosened his grip and threw a punch at Evil Moon at full speed. The speed of this punch was suddenly several times faster. With Evil Moon's current state, he couldn't react at all. It directly caused Evil Moon to be sent flying with one punch, and then he fell on the Martial Spirit Hall Academy's side, at Hu Laiina's feet. Hu Laiina. Sorry, I accidentally used second gear, Wang Fengxin thought to himself. Since Evil Moon's eruption, Wang Feng had been thinking about whether Tang San and the others could beat the Martial Spirit Hall Academy's team. In a moment of carelessness, he hid his Xianming armor and directly used second gear in an instant. There was another period of silence. Everyone present was stunned. Wasn't Evil Moon finally evenly matched with Jiu Kai? Why was he suddenly defeated? Nine Openings was still hiding his strength. The sword Douluo was a little speechless. Fengji, there's really something wrong with Nine Openings. There's a big problem. Ning Fengji was also silent. Wang Feng had used a similar attack method against Tang San in the previous rank advancement competition. He suddenly hid his Xianming armor and entered second gear, causing the speed of his punch to increase tremendously. It was like a rocket entering the second stage of acceleration. It was impossible to guard against. It was also very strange and extremely difficult to detect. Only a titled Douluo like the sword Douluo could detect the clues in an instant. If it were other people, they might not be able to detect it because it was too fast. At most, it would take a few tenths of a second to react. Mysterious Soul Bone, sudden increase in strength, 10,000-year soul ring, strange spear martial soul. What else did he have? What else was he hiding? Ning Fengji asked silently in his heart. Evil Moon lost. He lost completely. After attacking a large circle, Nine Openings didn't lose a single hair. Instead, he was sent flying by a punch. End of this chapter. Chapter 440. On the side of the Martial Spirit Hall, there was dead silence. Among the 3 people of the Golden Generation who were awarded the Purple Merit Badge by the Pope, only Hu Laiina was left. The other 2 were completely defeated. They used all their strength and even used their 10,000-year soul rings, but it was still useless. Hu Laiina suddenly felt that Jiu Kai was a little scary, just like the analysis of the teachers of the older generation in the hall. The strength of this 9-to-1 chance was far greater than the strength of each of them combined. Originally, it was just an analysis, but now after seeing it with her own eyes, she could feel that kind of power and fear. Sister, admit defeat. Evil Moon said weakly, You can't beat him, save your strength, you can still fight with Shrek in the afternoon. Hu Laiina was stunned. Admit defeat? She was the Pope's direct disciple, the Holy Maiden of the Martial Spirit Hall. How could she admit defeat like this? No, I want to give it a try. Hu Laiina walked up slowly. She was a control type, a very strong control type, so she might as well give it a try. Even if she lost, she had nothing to say, but she couldn't admit defeat like this. Hu Laiina walked onto the square. She was already the last person of the Golden Generation. She, who had a super strong control ability, didn't have any offensive ability, but this didn't mean that she couldn't defeat the enemy. On the contrary, among the 3 Golden Generations, her talent was the highest and her strength was the strongest. Because even Evil Moon and Yen were not immune to her control ability. Especially the current her. Seeing Hu Laiina walk onto the stage, Bibidon's eyes softened slightly. If she admitted defeat directly, Bibidon would be very disappointed. As a member of the Golden Generation, if she didn't even have the courage to face the enemy, then there was no need to be her disciple. Moreover, the Martial Spirit Hall had the best healing-type soul sage and many heaven and earth treasures. No matter how many injuries they had, they could quickly recover. Of course, this was a bit of cheating, but the three of them were originally from the Martial Spirit Hall, so it didn't matter. On the square, the two confronted each other. Hulaina didn't know why, but when she looked at Jiu Ikai's cold eyes, she felt a special killing intent. It was very faint. But it made her heart jump slightly. The moment the red-robed bishop shouted to start, Hulaina quickly released her martial soul, and the 4 soul rings on her body lit up one by one. Her 4 soul rings were purely used to strengthen her spiritual power, and at the same time, to strengthen her heavenly fox's seductive ability. Even those rank 60 soul warriors with extremely strong spiritual willpower were unable to resist such an enormous boost in power. They would all be affected to varying degrees. Streaks of red light were released from Hulaina's eyes. She looked directly at 9-1 Kai. However, he was slightly shocked, because the other party didn't attack immediately. Instead, he just stood there and looked at her. Seeing this, Hulaina did not hesitate. The charming light in her eyes looked directly at Jiu Kai. Her lips parted slightly and she let out a low call. Her charm was all-encompassing and not just limited to a single glance. It also included the mist that spread in the air, the sound, and her every movement. Among them, the mist could block breathing. You can close your eyes and not look at the action. However, the sound could not be blocked. Wang Feng roughly understood Hulaina's special and powerful charm ability. Her voice was transmitted through a method similar to sound wave. Even if one blocked their ears, it could still be transmitted through their bones, causing a soul master's entire body to feel weak and numb. This would then affect their mind and cause them to fall into her charm. Simply put, sound could be transmitted through air and bone. Hulaina's voice contained 2 types. Therefore, it was useless to just block one's ears. She could still charm you. It was just that the effect would be slightly reduced. Compared to Xiao Wu's pure charm soul skill, it was much, much stronger. This was the reason why Hulaina was so strong. However, this was useless against Wang Feng. This was because all of this was based on Hulaina's spiritual power surpassing her opponents. Wang Feng had the black-banded spiritual skull, so his spiritual power was too strong. Hulaina looked at Wang Feng, whose eyes were still clear, and was shocked. How could it not have any effect at all? Suddenly, Hulaina frowned and her 5th soul ring lit up again. A soft fox's cry sounded from her body. Instantly, even the red-robed bishop's eyes wavered for a few seconds. After that, he regained his senses and looked at Hulaina in shock. He was a soul sage, but he was still affected by Hulaina for a few seconds. Although it was only a few seconds, it was already very exaggerated. There was a difference of more than 20 ranks between the two of them. However, Hulaina's spiritual power had already reached the level of a red-robed bishop. However, Wang Feng's eyes became even gloomier. An aura similar to Shui Bing Er's. This soul ring also had an aura similar to Shui Bing Er's 4th soul skill. He could feel the aura of stars even more clearly. What a strong soul skill! Ning Fengji whispered, "This girl's 5th soul ring is probably not simple." The sword Douluo nodded slightly. His expression was a little serious. There's also the aura of a soul beast. This girl's martial soul must have mutated. She should have a skull, and there's still some remnant aura of a soul beast in it. This soul skill is strengthened because of this. It's really strange. I'm afraid this soul beast is a perfect match for her. It even became a soul ring on its own. Otherwise, her soul skill wouldn't be so strong. Even a soul sage over rank 70 can cause some effect. The plaza was very close, and the sword Douluo couldn't sense it clearly. He glanced at Pope Bibidon, who nodded slightly. He didn't say anything, but there was a hint of pride in his eyes. After all, this was her disciple, and she had nurtured him with all her heart. Even a soul sage over rank 70 couldn't resist her. Could Wang Feng resist her? As long as he was bewitched, Hulaina only needed to control him and make him say, "I admit defeat." However, at this moment, a crisp whistle sounded. The sudden whistle broke the silence in the plaza. It was like a bolt of lightning in the silent sky, awakening everything in the world. Hulaina's expression changed, and her face turned red. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and her mind was shaken. Her mind was in chaos. Even her pitch-black soul rings were shaking. She took a few steps back, and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. She held her head and felt a splitting headache. Everyone was stunned when they saw this. Even the Pope Bibidon was stunned. He didn't expect this at all. Only Ning Fengji stood up suddenly. It appeared again. A whistle to break someone's soul skill. Ning Fengji was watching when Jui fought against Skywater Academy. At that time, even Gu Rong couldn't explain this situation. Ning Fengji once thought that this was one of the 10 unsolved mysteries in the world of soul masters. He looked at the sword Douluo and found that the famous sword Douluo Chen Xian was also stunned at this moment. End of chapter. Chapter 441. Obviously, he didn't understand either. It was really an ordinary whistle. Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo didn't understand either. Even the Bibidon didn't see any problem, because there were no soul power fluctuations. How did he do it? Hulaina fainted. The red-robed bishop directly turned into a light shadow and supported Hulaina. After checking her, he said in a deep voice, "Her spirit suffered a backlash, but it's not a big deal," he said to the Bibidon. The Bibidon nodded slightly. After saying that, the red-robed bishop, who was the referee, looked at Wang Feng again and had to announce, "Purple Star College wins." Just like that, 9-1 Kai won and entered the finals. All the soul masters present looked at 9-1 Kai's back as he slowly walked down the square. For a moment, they didn't know what to say. The 3 Golden Generation members of the Martial Soul Hall were defeated by him just like that? And Wu Shang defeated them? When the news reached the ears of Tang San and the others who were resting at this moment, they were directly stunned. Wu Shang defeated them? Ma Hongjun swallowed. Rongrong, did your father really say this? They were sent back by the Bibidon in advance and didn't see any battle scenes. Father said it himself. Ning Rongrong nodded and pouted. I wanted to ask father how he defeated them and what their soul skills were, but he didn't say. Ning Fengji definitely wouldn't tell Ning Rongrong this kind of thing. If he said it, it would be equivalent to taking the initiative to offend the Pope, which was a very unwise choice. Is the Golden Generation too weak, or is 9-1 Kai too strong? Oscar pinched his chin and thought, but the Golden Generation is still a Soul King over rank 50. Although it's a one-on-one battle, it's impossible for them to be defeated by Wu Shang, right? Let's calculate the time. Dai Mubai looked at the sky. It's been less than an hour since we came down and Uncle Ning sent us the message. Deducting the process of the message transmission, it might be even shorter, which means that 9-1 Kai defeated 3 people in a row in less than an hour. Thinking of this, Dai Mubai was a little speechless. How do we fight this? Ning Rongrong suddenly walked to the master and said coquettishly, Master, if we beat the Martial Spirit Palace team this afternoon, why don't you let Wang Feng play in the finals? Otherwise, there was no way he could win. Tang San was also a little silent. When he heard the news from Ning Fengji, his first reaction was that it might really be impossible for him to win the championship. They were confident that they could defeat the Martial Spirit Palace, but they had no chance of defeating 9-1. Logically speaking, the 7 of them felt that their confidence was being squeezed bit by bit as they watched 9-1 Kai become stronger and stronger. Grandmaster was silent. He opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. Suddenly, no. Grandmaster's face suddenly changed and he scolded sternly, You guys, whenever you're in trouble, you think of Lin Feng. Without him, wouldn't you be Shrek's 7 monsters? How laughable! Rongrong, especially you must not have such thoughts. You must believe in yourselves. Grandmaster pointed at Flender and the others and continued to say sternly, Look at Dean Flender, Master Erlong and Zhao Wuji. They've trained you hard for the past 2 years. You've suffered, but didn't they suffer? Now you're saying such discouraged words. Are you worthy of the teachers? Are you worthy of Lin Feng? Hearing Grandmaster's anger, the 7 of them immediately lowered their heads in shame. You're not only representing the 7 of you, you're also representing Shrek, and you're also representing our teachers. You can choose to admit defeat for the sake of tactics, but when facing the real enemy, you must not be timid at all. You must believe in yourselves. You can defeat 9 Kai. No one is invincible. Grandmaster's eyes were like torches as he looked at them. Seeing this, the 7 of them suddenly felt a surge of excitement in their hearts, and their faces flushed. Teacher is right. We were wrong. Tang San took a deep breath. No one is invincible. Even if 9 Kai is defeated, we Shrek's 7 monsters will definitely have a way. Without Brother Feng, we can definitely defeat him. The other 6 nodded heavily. Grandmaster looked at the 7 of them with relief. Martial Spirit Hall, Healing Hall. Bibidon looked at Hu Laina, who was lying on the bed and had basically completely recovered, and asked calmly, Laina, what's the situation? Teacher, Hu Laina sat up gently from the bed. Lie down and tell me the situation directly. Bibidon supported Hu Laina's shoulder. A whistle could break a 10,000-year soul skill. Such a bizarre thing had never happened in the world of soul masters. It was too absurd. Bibidon naturally asked Hu Laina about the specific situation at that time. After all, there were some things that only the person who knew clearly. Yes. Hu Laina recalled that time and said softly, when 9 Kai whistled, I felt that my consciousness was shaken. It should be Xing Xing's consciousness. That soul beast? Bibidon frowned slightly, and his voice was slightly cold. As expected, it's the soul beast's consciousness that's causing trouble. I'll directly extract its consciousness. No, teacher, don't. Hu Laina's beautiful face turned pale. Xing Xing's soul ring and soul bone caused my martial soul to mutate and become stronger. I can't hurt it. If I extract Xing Xing's consciousness, my martial soul will weaken and degenerate. My soul ring might even explode and my spirit will be severely injured. Furthermore, I promised Xing Xing. I'm already familiar with it now. Hearing this, Bibidon frowned and snorted. Your current situation is very complicated. Bibidon said slowly. Originally, there was a person who understood martial souls very well. I wanted him to help you take a look at your situation, but he might not be willing. If your 5th soul skill continues to have such a flaw and is broken by 9 Kai's whistle, it means that he will always have something against you. I don't know how he did it, but it should be related to your soul beast. Hu Laina nodded slightly. After the competition ends, I'll let him stay and take a look at your situation. Bibidon's eyes flashed with a trace of sharpness. I can't let my disciple leave any evidence for others to use against her. If I can't extract this soul beast's consciousness, it can't live. Hearing this, Hu Laina was stunned and suddenly said, Teacher, I think 9 Kai is a little special. According to my guess, he might know Xing Xing. When the time comes, can you let me talk to him personally? Bibidon looked at his beloved disciple and nodded slowly. End of chapter. Chapter 442. In the afternoon, Wang Feng went to watch the battle with Tang San and the others this time. A 9-1 draw was not allowed, but Wang Feng was allowed to be a substitute. In fact, he still had to rely on the Black Hoop's spiritual skull. Even if he didn't use the Shadowma's soul skill, the skull could make his aura slightly illusory. Otherwise, with the strength of a titled Douluo, even if he was wearing a black robe and a mask, they should be able to detect some clues from his aura. In addition, when he showed his red lotus martial soul during the test, no one noticed anything wrong. Of course, it was impossible for him to make a move. However, Wang Feng didn't tell Tang San and the others about the 3 soul skills he learned from the Golden Generation, because there was no need for that. Wang Feng did a little calculation. With the injuries of the 3 in the morning and Yen being hit by his god-killing spear, Shrek's 7 monsters had a chance to win. It was less than 4 hours in the middle. The injuries of the Golden Generation couldn't be recovered so quickly. However, when Wang Feng and Tang San came to the square in the afternoon, they were shocked. Yen, Evil Moon, and Hu Laina were standing on one side of the square, unharmed. It was a little exaggerated to say that they were unharmed because their faces were a little pale and their auras were a little weaker, but at least they had recovered most of their strength. Even the wound caused by the god-killing spear was sealed by a special aura. It must be the work of a titled Doulu. However, Yan's face was still a little twisted. Obviously, his soul was still in pain, but it was suppressed by his injuries, so the pain was a lot weaker. The Martial Spirit Hall is really willing to pay a lot. Wang Feng was speechless. The injuries of the 3 in the morning would take at least a day to recover. He didn't expect the Martial Spirit Hall to help them recover in just a few hours. Even a titled Douluo help. Mistress, then we can only depend on your own performance. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. After both sides were in position, they didn't hesitate and went straight to the arena. There was basically no audience here. Most of them were from the Martial Spirit Hall. Other than Ning Fengji and the others, there were only Master Lu Erlong and a few teachers. Wang Feng was behind the 2 teachers. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on the square. Only a few people's eyes fell on Wang Feng. This kid doesn't plan to fight? Ning Fengji frowned slightly and said, although the 3 members of the Golden Generation were seriously injured in the morning, with the strength of the Martial Spirit Palace, although they can't fully recover, they can still restore most of their combat strength. Tang San's chance of winning is very low. The sword Douluo was also appraising Wang Feng, but he didn't give a reply. Bibidan also glanced at Wang Feng for a moment before retracting his gaze. Because at this time, the competition had already begun. Wang Feng watched with rapt attention. Even if the 3 of them had recovered most of their fighting strength, Yen and Evil Moon probably wouldn't dare to use their 10,000-year soul rings again. The 3 of them had yet to fully recover from their injuries. If they continued to use that 10,000-year soul skill, coupled with the fact that their old injuries hadn't healed, they would suffer even greater injuries. When that happened, it wouldn't be something that could be healed with simple healing technique. The moment the competition began, the first to act was not Hu Laina of the Golden Generation. Instead, it was Yen, Evil Moon, and the 2 soul warriors behind them who were over rank 40. At the same time, Tang San's team of 7 directly formed a circle, with Oscar and Ning Rongrong in the center. The 6 people outside were led by Tang San, followed by Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Zhuqing. The latter grabbed the former's shoulders. Oscar and Ning Rongrong in the center pressed their hands against Tang San's back at the same time. The 9-star glazed pagoda in Ning Rongrong's hand bloomed with 4 rays of light, which fell on Tang San's body. Then, the 7 people's martial souls all lit up. 49 soul rings shone with dazzling light. Tang San, who was in the lead, was enveloped in light, and suddenly let out a long roar. Blue-silver cage. The blue-silver grass in Tang San's palm became incomparably bright, as if it had doubled in size. The instantaneous blue-silver cage trapped Yen and Evil Moon, as well as the 2 agility-type soul masters. In addition to Hu Laina, there were 2 auxiliary-type soul masters who directly enhanced the 4 people. Although they were not as strong as Ning Rongrong, they were not bad compared to the disciples of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. But at this time, Tang San, who was not even rank 44, directly trapped Evil Moon and the other 3 with a blue-silver cage. Logically speaking, with Evil Moon and Yan's strength, they should be able to break through the blue-silver cage in an instant, but they were unable to do so. It's a 7-person fusion skill. Wang Feng nodded slightly. The power of 7 people is concentrated on one person, and it's concentrated on Tang San. The others all closed their eyes and shut off their 5 senses. This can only be done by completely trusting Little 3. Previously, the Blazing Academy's strength was able to raise Hua Wushuang's strength to more than rank 50 with a special fire storage fusion skill. With the current strength of 7 people combined on Tang San, it could raise Tang San's strength to more than rank 60, or even close to rank 70. Otherwise, he would not have trapped Yen and the other 3 with a blue-silver cage. Most importantly, Tang San had the purple demon eyes, and his spiritual power was stronger than that of ordinary soul masters, so he could resist Hulaiina's charm. If Hulaiina could not use her 5th soul skill, it would be difficult for her to affect Tang San and the other 7 people. This was the best way to defeat the Golden Generation. Otherwise, with the huge gap in soul power, Tang San and the others had a very low chance of winning. Obviously, the 3 members of the Golden Generation did not expect Tang San and the others to have such a trump card, so they were a little overwhelmed. Hulaiina frowned slightly and took a few steps forward. Her 4 soul rings lit up one after another, and streaks of red fog and whispers spread towards the 7 people. But at this moment the 7 of them were one. Other than Tang San, the other 5 had closed their 5 senses and were connected mentally. It was not realistic to use charm to affect them. Hulaiina planned to release charm to interrupt their soul skills during the battle, because her soul skills had already been exposed. If she released them immediately, her opponents would be prepared. If she did not release them, they would be on tenterhooks and would not be able to fight wholeheartedly. But she did not expect them to use a 7-person martial soul fusion skill immediately. Although it was not a 7-person martial soul fusion skill, it seemed to be very strong. "Brother, be careful," Hulaiina shouted and hurriedly reminded him. Tang San's strength has reached around rank 65, and every one of his soul skills is very strong. Also, be careful of his clear sky hammer. Got it. Evil Moon's eyes flashed, and he activated Moon Dance. 2 moon blades created waves of energy in the air, and all the vines in the blue-silver cage were shattered. End of chapter. Chapter 443. On the other side, Yen wasn't having a good time. His blue-silver grass was resistant to fire, so he couldn't burn the blue-silver cage. He could only rely on his strength to tear the blue-silver cage apart with the help of his raging flame body and flame barrier. The other 2 soul masters weren't so lucky. They were completely controlled by the blue-silver cage. Just as Yen and Evil Moon were fighting, Tang San gathered his strength and launched the binding cobweb toward them. At the same time, Tang San's blue-silver grass disappeared, and a hammer appeared in his hand. It was the clear sky hammer. Tang San's idea was very simple. He wanted to use the fusion skill of the 7 of them to defeat the 3 of them quickly. In addition, he had the Tang Sek's martial skills. Whether it was the controlling crane capturing dragon or the ghost shadow perplexing track, they were very powerful. He could definitely defeat the 2 rank 55 soul masters. For this, Tang San poured his soul power into the clear sky hammer crazily. As his soul power continued to pour in, the clear sky hammer slowly became bigger. In the end, it became a giant hammer that was a few meters long. It was dark gold and emitted an extremely powerful aura. Seeing this, many people's expressions changed. Clear sky hammer true body. Ning Fengji whispered, the 7 of them can actually make Tang San use the clear sky hammer true body. It seems like the martial soul hall is going to lose this battle. The clear sky hammer was known as the number 1 tool martial soul in the continent. Once it revealed its true body, the power it could release would be unimaginable. Normally, only rank 70 tool martial souls would have a tool soul true body. At that time, it would be a turning point for tool martial soul masters. However, Tang San's clear sky hammer true body was weaker now because his soul power hadn't reached rank 70 yet. It was just that the 7 of them could barely reach it. Clear sky hammer true body. Wang Feng's heart skipped a beat when he saw this. If my rank was higher, would I be able to use the Pangu Axe true body when I use it? Wang Feng had only used the Pangu Axe twice. Every time, there would be a heaven-shaking phenomenon. Wang Feng didn't dare to use it casually. However, from the perspective of martial spirits, the Pangu Axe was indeed a tool martial spirit. Logically speaking, it should also have a true form. One had to know that the last 2 times, Wang Feng had only used his soul power to materialize the Pangu Axe to attack. It was only a small axe. If he had enough soul power, would he be able to condense the true form of the Pangu Axe? Wang Fengxin's heart started to throb. A normal tool soul master would need to be at least rank 70. But in reality, after compressing his soul power to rank 50, his soul power was more durable than a rank 70 soul master. But was Pangu's axe true body at level 70 strong enough? Moreover, it should require a special comprehension, right? This was the first time Wang Feng had seen the true form of a tool martial spirit. If he could really unleash the true form of Pangu's axe and transform it into a giant axe that was tens of meters long, he would probably be able to cut the Pontiff Palace in half with a single swing of the axe. However, with Wang Feng's current strength, it was far from possible. He could barely use the normal Pangu axe. Even if he forcefully unleashed the true form of Pangu's axe, Wang Feng would probably die. Even the meteoric tear wouldn't be able to save him. However, with this train of thought, Wang Feng started to ponder and anticipate the Pangu axe a little more. In fact, in terms of martial spirits, the chaotic green lotus was also a tool martial spirit. It also had a martial spirit true body. Furthermore, according to the different forms, the strength of the martial spirit true body would be different. However, Wang Feng still couldn't unleash the true form of his martial spirit true body. For example, the golden lotus, red lotus, black lotus, and soul-killing spear should all have their own special martial spirit true body forms and abilities. Simply put, his soul power wasn't high enough, and his abilities weren't up to standard. Previously, Wang Feng hadn't thought about the martial spirit true body. However, now that he thought about it, it was as if a door had been opened. The various forms and abilities of the chaotic green lotus shouldn't stop here. However, it would take a long time for him to try them out. After all, the Douluo world wasn't very strong in Wang Feng's eyes. Simply put, most titled Douluo couldn't even resist a mushroom. At this moment, the situation changed again as the clear sky body appeared. Tang San used his controlling crane capturing dragon and ghost shadow perplexing track with his clear sky hammer true body. With 2 strikes, he sent Yen and Evil Moon flying. Both of them spat out mouthfuls of blood. The strength of the clear sky body had to be respected. Even if Wang Feng used first grade, he wouldn't be able to resist it. After activating second gear, his body entered another state. His speed was greatly increased, and his body's toughness was increased by a level without his mysterious underworld armor. It wasn't easy to fight force with force. However, he could dodge limitlessly. Unless he used divinization, the soul-killing spear's soul skill, or the Dark Angel's martial soul, he wouldn't be able to resist the clear sky hammer. The clear sky hammer was 7 to 8 meters long. It was dark gold in color. Just its aura alone made one feel as if it was invincible. Evil Moon and Yen were sent flying. They were injured again. Fortunately, one of the 2 auxiliary-type soul masters was a healer. Although he was only rank 40, he used a healing-type soul skill to heal their injuries. The 3 of us can't use our 10,000-year soul skills. Hulaina said softly, use that move. Otherwise, we won't be able to win. Although my martial soul has mutated and isn't very stable, it's just right for the 3 of us to use it. If we don't use it, we might lose. The 3 of them knew the power of the clear sky hammer. Okay, The other two nodded. The three of them formed a triangle. Their martial souls suddenly lit up at the same time. 15 soul rings intertwined on their bodies. It's a three-person martial soul fusion skill. Master's face darkened. Little Feng, you deduced that two of them had a martial soul fusion skill. I didn't expect these three to have a three-person martial soul fusion skill. Wang Feng's face also became serious. Hu Laiina's martial soul had mutated. In Wang Feng's impression, it was Hu Laiina and her brother who had a martial soul fusion skill. But now, he didn't expect it to be a three-person martial soul fusion skill. Could it be that after the mutation, Hu Laiina's martial soul compatibility increased? In addition, the three of them had been companions for many years, so the three of them had a new martial soul fusion skill. If that was the case, then it was hard to say. In the square, the three of them were led by Hu Laiina. A beautiful fox with a star mark on its forehead suddenly jumped out lightly. Immediately after, the Flame Lord on Yan's body instantly merged into the fox. Evelmoon's Moonblade also merged into Hu Laiina's body. The two of them disappeared directly. Hu Laiina's body slowly grew bigger. 3 tails grew out from her back. Flames rose from her body. She held a moonblade in each hand. Her pupils turned pink, and a red mist spread around her body. End of this chapter. Chapter 444. After growing to a height of 2 meters, Hu Laiina's body finally stopped, and her ears turned into furry fox ears. From afar, she looked like a half-human fox with a deep star mark between her brows, but the strange thing was that her entire body exuded an extremely demonic aura. Martial Soul Fusion Skill, Moonflame Starfox. A soft murmur sounded. A terrifying aura rose from Hu Laiina's body. It didn't lose to Tang San at all, and her aura was even stronger. The strength of their martial soul fusion skill was undeniable. Back then, the Golden Iron Triangle, 2 soul sages and a soul grandmaster, who wasn't even rank 30, could resist Douluo with their martial soul fusion skill. Even if the three of them weren't at their full strength, they were still very strong. Wang Feng guessed that if they used it at their full strength, they could probably reach rank 80. No wonder they were confident of winning against him in the team battle. If they used this martial soul fusion skill at their full strength in the team battle, Wang Feng would really have to take out some real cards. Unfortunately, the three of them were injured now, and their martial soul fusion skill was weakened by a lot. But compared to the current Tang San, they were still stronger. Such a powerful martial soul fusion skill, no wonder they didn't use it against Huang Do. Wang Feng was a little curious. I wonder who will win. At this moment, Tang San's Clear Sky Hammer True Body and Hu Laiina's Moonflame Starfox started fighting. Both sides were almost equal in strength, but in terms of fighting, Tang San had the Tang Sex martial skills, Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track, and Controlling Crane Capturing Dragon, so he could completely unleash the Clear Sky Hammer. And the Clear Sky Hammer was much stronger than the Moonblade. In addition, Ning Rongrong gave Tang San a boost, so it could be said that he was evenly matched with the Moonflame Starfox. Hu Laiina, who had turned into the Moonflame Starfox, had a new soul skill, and she couldn't use her original soul skill. So for a moment, both sides were very anxious. It was hard to tell who would win. With the Fire Lord's 3-in-1 fusion skill, the Moonflame Starfox had an extremely strong defense. Even the Clear Sky Hammer True Body couldn't deal a fatal blow to Hu Laiina. At such a time, it was usually a test of both parties' endurance. In a situation where there was not much difference, the one who could last longer would be the one to win. A moment later, Hu Laiina was once again sent flying by Tang San's Clear Sky Hammer. Many cracks also appeared on the Moonblade in her hand. Hu Laiina's expression changed slightly. In the end, it was the Clear Sky Hammer. When the two collided, the Moonblade could not possibly be more powerful than the Clear Sky Hammer. If they continued to fight for a long time, it would be extremely disadvantageous for them. Furthermore, the three of them were already injured, so it was already difficult for them to unleash their martial soul fusion skill. However, Tang San was not having a good time either. His eyes were bloodshot. Obviously, he was about to reach his limit. Both sides had probably reached a climax. However, Little Three hasn't used his 8-spider spear yet. Is he planning to hide it to deal with 911? Wang Feng said in surprise. If he hides the 8-spider spear at this time, he will lose soon. Hu Laina attacked Tang San again. In this state, although Tang San was not affected by her charm at this time, with the strong physical quality and strength after the three of them fused their martial souls, the moonblade in her hand was not as durable as the clear sky hammer. However, it was still stronger and could last longer. The moonblade in Hu Laina's hand spun and the flames around her body boiled. The moonblade brought about a violent flaming storm. As if he wanted to decide the winner with one blow, the clear sky hammer in Tang San's hand seemed to have become bigger. With a terrifying aura, he also attacked Hu Laina. Boom! The two figures collided in midair like two streams of light. An explosive stream of flames spread out from the square. Then, the storm dispersed and countless fragments shot out. Wang Feng saw very clearly that those were the fragments of the 8-spider spear. After a while, two figures suddenly shot out. It was Tang San and Hu Laina. Tang San was the first to kneel on one knee. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and his back was badly mutilated. But in the next moment, Hu Laina fell to the ground. The moon-flame spirit fox disappeared and turned into two figures. They were lying on the ground with pale faces. It's the 8-spider spear. Wang Feng thought. When the two sides collided, Tang San used the 8-spider spear to give the opponent a fatal blow. A trump card should be used at a critical moment. However, it was a pity that Hu Laina's attack was also extraordinary. She used the crescent blade to form a rotating firestorm. As the two clashed, Tang San, who was in the middle of the firestorm, managed to hit the moonflame astral fox with his 8-spider spears. However, he was also injured by the moonflame astral fox's flaming moonblade. But Tang San did not fall to the ground. Even if the 8-spider spear was broken, he still had the strength to fight. On the contrary, the other three people seemed to have no strength to fight. The remaining members of the Martial Spirit Hall Academy were no match for Tang San even if there were not many of them left. The square was silent for a moment. A Pyrrhic victory. Master murmured, it's really a Pyrrhic victory. Even if the three members of the Golden Generation were injured, their chances of winning would be lower if they were not. Master had a strong judgment of the overall situation. Wang Feng's analysis was right. If the Golden Generation were not injured in the morning, Tang San's chances of winning would be too low. Even if they used a 7-person fusion skill, it would be difficult to win. For example, Evelmun's 10,000-year soul skill or Hu Laina's 10,000-year soul skill. Even Tang San would be affected. Or Evelmun's 10,000-year soul skill. It would be difficult to deal with them. The gap in soul power was too big. Unfortunately, but it was not easy to fight to this extent. In the spectator stand, Bibidon looked calm and remained silent. The other two titled Douluo were also silent. Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo were the same. Are we still fighting? Tang San stood up, holding the clear sky hammer in his hand. Although his legs were trembling, he was like a god of death. His eyes were blood-red and emitted a fierce aura. As he spoke, Tang San looked at the broken pieces of the 8-spider spear on the ground. Why not? At this time, Hu Laina stood up and said slowly, we didn't expect your Shrek Academy to be so powerful. You can even use a 7-person fusion skill to fight back and forth with our 3-in-1 martial soul fusion skill. You even used a hidden soul bone to block our attack at the critical moment. If the other party's martial soul was not the clear sky hammer, but another tool martial soul, it would not be able to do this. Moreover, the other party's identity and skills were very strange. If it was someone else, other than Tang San, it would be impossible for them to achieve such a feat. End of this chapter. Chapter 445. It's a pity that this is a team battle, not an individual battle. Hulaina smiled, and her head suddenly lit up. I have a soul bone, and the soul skill of my soul bone can recover the strength of the three of us. Wang Feng took a deep breath when he saw this. He didn't expect the soul skill of Hulaina's head to come from Star's strong recovery ability. Star Crescent Foxes had strong recovery abilities. Hulaina's 50,000-year soul ring was Star's spiritual power and seduction ability. Apart from increasing her spiritual power, her skull's true soul skill was recovery and healing. Hulaina didn't use it in the individual battle. Every team had their own trump cards. Tang San had a soul bone, but Hulaina also had a soul bone now. Tang San smiled when he saw this. They were really strong. This golden generation was ridiculously strong. Hulaina's skull emitted streaks of star-like light. Within the range of this light, Evil Moon and Yen were recovering at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Tang San hid his clear sky hammer when he saw this. He squatted down weakly, as if he didn't want to resist anymore. In the next moment, Tang San grabbed the fragments of the 8-spider spear on the ground with both hands. Using the mysterious jade hands, he threw the fragments into the air. It's 2 hidden weapon techniques. Wang Feng's eyes lit up. The torrential pear flowers that I saw at the beginning. The other one should be a hidden weapon technique from the Tang sect. Tang San used both hands to execute the technique, splitting his attention into 2. Each hand released a different hidden weapon technique. These fragments of the 8-spider spear were extremely poisonous. They were also mixed with countless poisons from the Icefire Yin-Yang Eyes, the Man-Faced Demon Spider's poison, and the fire poison and ice poison from the 2 immortal herbs. 27 streaks of light shot towards the 3 of them. The 3 of them were shocked. Tang San's other hand released another hidden weapon technique, but it only shot out less than 10 fragments. However, each fragment had a different trajectory, dancing and spiraling in the air. The 3 of them immediately used their soul power to disperse the 27 fragments released by the torrential pear flowers. However, they couldn't avoid the remaining 10 fragments, because the angle was too tricky. Even the remaining 4 members of the team were the same. His skin was directly cut open. Seeing this, Tang San had a faint smile on his face. The poison entered their bodies and instantly interrupted the release of Hulaina's soul bone. The trio's recovery was directly interrupted. Coupled with the 8-spider spear's poison, the situation could be said to be extremely dangerous. However, Tang San also fell to the ground powerlessly at this time. The other 6 freaks also came to their senses, but all of their soul power was gone. The situation is very strange. After watching for a while, Wang Feng said in a low voice, I don't think I can tell who's going to win and who's going to lose. Tang San used the 8-spider spear as a hidden weapon and used the last of his strength to interrupt Hulaina's soul skill release and poison the 3 of them. But at this moment, he had no strength left. Furthermore, although the 3 members of the Golden Generation had been poisoned, they still possessed a certain level of battle prowess. However, if they were to move, the poison would definitely spread rapidly within their bodies. When that happened, it would be impossible to treat them. Therefore, they could not move in the slightest. As for the remaining 4 members of the Martial Spirit Palace, they were not of the Golden Generation and had no ability to resist this kind of poison. The Master also nodded solemnly. He also could not tell who was the winner in this situation because both sides had fallen to the ground. The remaining 6 freaks' soul power was drained and their faces were a little pale. Although they could still fight with their physical fitness, at this time the Golden Generation also had battle prowess. It should be Little 3 and the others who won. Wang Feng shook his head and said, because if no one admits defeat, the Golden Generation will be the ones to suffer. When the poison invades their internal organs, the three of them will be crippled. Sure enough, soon, Hulaina directly gritted her teeth and admitted defeat. At this point, the curtains of this competition came to an end. In the audience stand in front of the main hall, Bibidan's expression changed slightly. In the end, he just looked deeply at Shrek and the others and did not say anything. At this point, both sides had already fought to their best. But what will you use to beat me tomorrow? Wang Fengxian thought that Tang San and the others had used all their trump cards. They used the 7-man combination skill, forced the opponents to use their martial soul fusion skill, and used the 8-spider spear. In the end, they even used the Tang Sect's hidden weapon technique. What will you use to fight us? Wang Feng shook his head. If this set of skills was prepared for him, he might have used some of his strength. But now it was all used up, and he probably could not use it at all tomorrow. Once he used second gear, he would have to rest. He did not even need to use second gear. First gear was enough. Speaking of which, this was the second real team battle between Wang Feng and Shrek's 7 Freak. Moreover, Tang San was injured, so he could not use this 7-man combination skill tomorrow. It seems that I have to help you. Wang Feng sighed and shook his head. At this moment, seeing that everyone was injured, Ning Fengji frowned slightly. He turned his palm, and the 7 treasures glazed pagoda appeared. It turned into a huge pagoda that was more than 10 meters tall. 7 rays of light appeared and covered everyone in different directions. Several rays of light descended, and Tang San, who was lying on the ground, quickly recovered. On the other side, the 3 from the Golden Generation struggled to stand up. Ning Fengji was a rank 79 auxiliary-type soul sage, and his strength was naturally extraordinary. His 7 treasures glazed pagoda had extremely strong healing abilities, and it also had other abilities. It could help Tang San, Hulaina, and the other 2 suppress their injuries. Little monster, go and help the 3 of them detoxify the poison. Dugubo walked to the square and said in a deep voice. Although he could detoxify the poison, it would be very troublesome. Tang San could use the 8-spider spear to absorb it. Okay. Tang San nodded. Under Ning Fengji's healing, he formed another 8-spider spear and walked to Hulaina and the other 2. He wants to detoxify the poison for the 3 of them. Ning Fengji looked at Bibidan and the 2 titled Douluo and explained. Bibidan was silent. At this moment, Tang San walked to the 3 of them and gently pierced the 8-spider spear into their shoulders to absorb the poison. When he passed by Yen, his pupils shrank slightly. This was because he saw that Yen was in extreme pain, and this was obviously not caused by his poison. They fought with Jiu Yi in the morning, and their injuries have not fully recovered. Tang San thought to himself, the martial spirit hall must have helped them suppress their injuries. Otherwise, we would have been defeated today. I don't know how badly the 3 of them were defeated in the morning, and even the martial spirit hall could not fully heal them. Especially this Yen, he still has a wound on his body. End of chapter. Chapter 446. Tang San could see another small wound on Yan's body, which was obviously not caused by him just now. It should be caused by 9 odds. How lucky! Tang San thought to himself. The strength of the 3 people from the Golden Generation was unexpectedly strong. If 9 odds hadn't beaten them until they were riddled with wounds and their injuries hadn't healed, they wouldn't have had any chance. But on second thought, he had used all the moves he should use today. What should he do tomorrow? Tang San's original plan today was to only use the 7-man fusion skill in order to end the battle quickly. However, he didn't expect the other 3 to have a martial soul fusion skill, forcing him to fight head-on. After dragging it out for a long time, he even used the 8-spider spear. Forget about the 8-spider spear. He didn't expect the other party to have their biggest trump card, the soul bone soul skill. If he hadn't grabbed the fragments of the 8-spider spear on the ground and used 2 hidden weapon techniques to hit the 3 people who had recovered some of their strength, he would have definitely lost today. After removing the poison from the 3 people, Tang San walked back and gathered with everyone again. There was only silence. Today's battle was out of their expectations. They won by a narrow margin. But there was a question in everyone's mind. What should they do tomorrow? Actually, I have a plan for tomorrow's battle. The 7 of them walked down the square. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing suddenly said. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Wang Feng was also stunned. What? What are you up to this time? Every time Zhu Zhuqing thought of something, Wang Feng's scalp would tingle. What plan? Zhu Zhuqing continued. Think about it. What is the approximate level of strength of 9 to 1? Tang San thought for a moment and said, he should be around rank 70 at the very least. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to defeat so many teams so easily. He was even able to defeat the 3 people from the Golden Generation in the morning. These 3 people are rank 55, but their individual combat strength is definitely rank 60. Everyone nodded. If we include his hidden strength, he should be above rank 70, Dai Mubai said. Zhu Zhuqing nodded lightly. But have you thought about it? Is there a soul master below the age of 25 who is above rank 70? The 3 members of the Golden Generation were all around 22 years old. He was a rank 45 soul master who didn't want to reveal his face, but he was far stronger than his peers. Is that even possible? Everyone was stunned. I suspect that the reason why he's unwilling to reveal his face is most likely because he's over 25 years old. Perhaps he's using some sort of special method to avoid detection. Zhu Zhuqing thought, if we can take off his mask tomorrow, maybe he will be disqualified, and we will win. Wang Feng, what a clever little brat. That was indeed the case. Yes. Zhuqing's words make sense. I feel that this 9 to 1 split is too strange. Ning Rongrong added. He said that he was too ugly and was afraid of scaring the Pope. It was obviously an excuse. The Pope did not say much because of the crowd. But we can always take off his mask during the competition and see who he really is. Who knows, he might even be a stinky old man. Wang Feng. Haha, I'm sorry, but I've already heard your tactics. You want to take off my mask? No way. Do you want it to be the same as last time? It shouldn't be that easy. Can any of you get close to him? Tang San hesitated. Also, that 6-ringed Soul Emperor Senior is the Master's friend. That's why we could do that. But this 9 to 1 split has nothing to do with us. We won't go all out. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Yes, they dared to do that in the setting sun forest because that 6-ringed Soul Emperor Senior was the Master's friend. It wouldn't hurt them. But this 9 to 1 split might not necessarily happen. Wang Fengxin thought to himself, that's right. It doesn't matter who wins or loses tomorrow. Anyway, he doesn't need the soul bone. Just like this, the group fell silent. Wang Feng used the Golden Lotus to completely heal Tang San's injuries and went back to rest. The next day, the final competition would determine the real champion. The weather today was exceptionally good. After waking up, Wang Feng put on his black robe and white mask and walked up the stairs to the Pope's palace. In fact, no matter what happened today, whether Wang Feng won or lost, he would be able to enter the Pope's palace. The previous matches were held outside the Pontiff's palace, but Wang Feng was constantly paying attention to Xiao Wu. He was a little worried that her yearning heartbroken grass would fall off if he wasn't careful. If that happened, it wouldn't be good. Even though Wang Feng knew that Tang Hao should be hiding in the Pope's palace, Wang Feng didn't sense any aura. As for whether his identity would be exposed or not, it would depend on how much strength Tang San and the others could make him use. In fact, as long as Tang San and the others could make him use the strength of second gear, it would be easy to guess. It would be even easier if he used the Void Realm. However, when he walked up the stairs, Wang Fengxian had a bad feeling. Logically speaking, the original plot has changed a lot because of my appearance. Xiao Wu's identity shouldn't be exposed, right? Wang Feng thought for a while. Thinking of this, Wang Feng was quite excited. If Xiao Wu's identity wasn't exposed, then a lot of the plot would change because of him. He also felt a sense of accomplishment. On the plaza outside the Pope's palace, Bibidan's expression was a little unpleasant as it was the last round of the finals, but there was nothing she could say. No matter who won or lost, it had nothing to do with the Martial Soul Hall. In addition to the people from yesterday, Hulayina also watched quietly behind Bibidan. After the competition, she would ask 9-1 Kai about yesterday's one-on-one battle. How did he break her 10,000-year soul skill? On the plaza, there seemed to be 2 more titled Douluo. Suddenly, Wang Feng looked at the spectator stands and was stunned. Originally, there were only Bibidan, the chrysanthemum Douluo, the ghost Douluo, and the sword Dalu. However, there were 2 more chairs, and on each of them sat a titled Douluo in a golden robe with gemstones embedded in the chest. However, their auras were slightly weaker than the chrysanthemum Douluo and the ghost Dalu. The 2 titled Douluo gave Wang Feng a bad feeling. However, after thinking about it, as long as Xiao Wu's identity wasn't exposed, there shouldn't be any problems. At this moment, Wang Feng walked onto the plaza. At the same time, Shrek's 7 monsters, who had rested for the night, also walked onto the plaza. The confrontation between the 2 sides reminded Wang Feng of the first time he fought Shrek's 7 monsters 2 years ago. However, the current him was completely different from the him 2 years ago. Similarly, Tang San and the others were also very different from 2 years ago. Logically speaking, Tang San's injuries couldn't be healed in a day. The shattered 8-spider spear on his back would take at least a few days to completely repair. However, Wang Feng used the Golden Lotus to heal him last night. Therefore, Shrek's 7 monsters were no different from yesterday. They were in their best condition. Get ready for the competition. Release your martial souls. With the red-robed bishop's command, the competition started. At night, end of chapter. Chapter 447. At this moment, in the spectator stands. Fengji, the Pope might not let these 2 teams go so easily. The sword Douluo transmitted his voice. I feel a strange murderous aura, but the Pope might not have an excuse to make a move. Ning Fengji was shocked, but his expression didn't change. He still looked at the square indifferently. With Uncle Sword's strength, he could feel this subtle murderous aura. Ning Fengji didn't have any doubts, because he also vaguely felt a special atmosphere. Because it was too calm. Since the Martial Spirit Hall team lost yesterday, the Pope Bibidan had been too calm. The calmer she looked, the more terrifying she gave off. Perhaps others couldn't sense it. But Ning Fengji had lived for decades. Although he wasn't as strong as the sword Douluo, he could sense it with his experience and sharp senses. But as long as she can't find an excuse, even if she's the Bibidan, she won't dare to make a move on these 2 teams. Ning Fengji replied. But after answering, Ning Fengji's heart couldn't help but tighten. If the Bibidan really wanted to make a move, it was too easy to find an excuse. The others don't matter, but Tang San and Jiui Kai, the Bibidan won't let these 2 go so easily. The sword Douluo transmitted his voice. Jiui Kai injured 3 members of the Golden Generation. His strength has reached an unimaginable level. Under 25 years old, even the vast Heaven Douluo didn't have such talent and strength, not to mention that he has twin martial souls. From the fact that he defeated 3 members of the Golden Generation, this person is really too strong. In the future, he will be an enemy even stronger than the vast Heaven Douluo. Ning Fengji's expression was incomparably calm. Yes, the sword Douluo was completely right. Similarly, Tang San's talent and strength are not inferior to his father's at all. He will definitely be the next titled Douluo in the future. What does this mean? The Martial Spirit Hall should know that the vast heaven Douluo killed the previous pope of the Martial Spirit Hall. How can the Martial Spirit Hall tolerate another vast heaven Douluo in this world? No matter who these two are, the Bibidon won't let them go. But the others, the Bibidon shouldn't make a move. Because there's no reason for her to kill all of them and even let them go. She will definitely find the most reasonable reason. Attack both of them. The sword Douluo was also a veteran of the continent, and just like Ningfengji, he was able to see things very clearly. At this moment, the competition had already begun. This was the second time that Wang Feng and Shrek's group of 7 had faced off against each other. Both sides had grown considerably stronger. However, that faint feeling of unease still lingered in Wang Feng's heart. I remember that in the original novel, Bibidon found an excuse to kill Xiao Wu and Tang San because Xiao Wu was a soul beast. Wang Feng looked at Tang San's team of 7, whose soul rings had already lit up. He felt a little depressed. As long as Xiao Wu doesn't expose herself, she won't have a chance to attack. At this time, Tang San and the others did not think so much. For them, the only thing they were thinking about was how to win. Victory did not mean that he had to defeat his opponent. At this time, the 7 of them joined forces again, but this time, Tang San was not the leader. Instead, it was led by Zhu Zhuqing. He's still hiding his strength. It's impossible for the 7 of us to defeat him. There's no chance. Tang San said in a deep voice, only by concentrating the strength of the 7 of us can we have a chance. Just as Zhu Qing said, if we can expose the other party's identity, we will have a chance. Tang San had thought it through carefully. Although his injuries had completely recovered from the 7-person fusion skill, he could not use the Clear Sky Hammer True Body for the time being. If he used it again, his spiritual power would not be able to support it, and he would easily become an idiot. If he could not use the Clear Sky Hammer True Body, it was completely nonsense to want to fight with Jiu Yi. Therefore, Tang San changed his strategy and gave the power of the 7-person fusion skill to Zhu Zhuqing. At this time, Zhu Zhuqing had the fastest speed, as long as she could get close to Jiu Yi, or even surpass him in speed. Then, the plan could be implemented effectively. Otherwise, there was no hope of winning this battle. This was the result of the 7 people's discussion last night after Wang Feng rested. It surprised Wang Feng. In the square, with Zhu Zhuqing as the leader, the other 6 people supported each other. Waves of power seemed to form a backflow and surge towards Zhu Zhuqing. In fact, if Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul did not mutate, it would not be able to withstand the power of the 6 people. In order to use the 7-person fusion skill and give it to Tang San, other than the fact that the 6 people trusted Tang San and Tang San was the strongest among the 7 of them, another reason was that Tang San's martial soul was the Clear Sky Hammer, which could withstand the power of the 6 people. Otherwise, if it were an ordinary martial soul, the 7-person fusion skill would not succeed at all. Even the Soul Master would directly explode and die. Zhu Zhuqing's eyes suddenly turned golden, and her body changed slightly. Countless crescent marks that flickered with the luster of diamonds appeared on her skin, as if she had become a real Yue elf, with a long tail swaying gently. However, her body did not become as huge as the other martial soul true bodies. Instead, it was very small, with a height of at most 1 meter and a length of less than 2 meters. She looked like a Yue elf that was 1 size bigger, and her eyes shone with a golden light. Elf true body. Wang Feng's eyes narrowed. Is she really going to cause trouble? He knew that Zhu Zhuqing would not give up so easily. The Yue elf was an extremely powerful mutated martial soul, and was not inferior to Zhan Xiaotian or Yan's Lord of the Flames. The most important characteristic of the Yue elf was its speed. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing was able to temporarily use her martial soul true body after receiving the power of the 6 people. This meant that her strength had reached rank 70 and above. In this state, and with the mutated Yue elf martial soul, in that case, her speed would reach a terrifying level. However, this Yue elf was very beautiful. That kind of elegance and otherworldly charm could make anyone be attracted to her at this moment. In the next moment, Zhu Zhuqing, who had transformed into a Yue elf, attacked Wang Feng directly. Fast, too fast. Wang Feng's eyes narrowed. Zhu Zhuqing's speed was comparable to his second gear. Wang Feng did not expect Tang San and the others to use this method to deal with him. He had to admit that it was a very good idea. Without any hesitation, Wang Feng directly entered second gear. The moment the mysterious underworld armor disappeared, there was a flash of light. A purplish gold claw was about to attack Wang Feng's face. It was really fast, Wang Fengxin thought to himself. It was as if he was facing his second gear. Fortunately, Wang Feng's reaction was also very fast, and he dodged almost instantly. End of chapter. Chapter 448. However, 3 faint marks appeared on the mask. Even the hood of the black robe on his head was torn. After entering second gear, the Xianming armor's restrictions were removed. His body was freer, and he had extra soul power to activate the Xianming armor. The disadvantage was that he couldn't use the Xianming spike to attack his enemies in second gear. However, entering second gear meant that Wang Feng was going to use other attacking methods. He was going to get serious. Even after entering second gear, Wang Feng couldn't completely dodge Zhu Zhuqing's attack with his quick reflexes. It wasn't hard to imagine how powerful Zhu Zhuqing was when she entered her martial soul true body state. Just as Wang Feng finished reacting, several doppelgangers appeared behind Wang Feng and rapidly attacked him. Almost all of the clones attacked Wang Feng's robe and mask. Evidently, they wanted to take off his mask. Wang Fengxin broke out in cold sweat. Although Zhu Zhuqing was fast, her attacking power was far inferior to Tang San's. Hence, it was impossible for her to hurt him. This wasn't because Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul true body wasn't strong. It was because his body was too strong. However, because of this, Zhu Zhuqing didn't have any intention of attacking him. Instead, she wanted to tear off his mask and robe. She was a little shameless. Wang Feng's eyes flashed. The God Slayer's spear appeared in his hand. He used the momentum of his retreat to sweep the spear behind him. The 3 clones behind him were all pierced into nothingness. Soul-devouring blood wings. Wang Feng's eyes flashed. He spread the blood wings behind him and dodged Zhu Zhuqing's attack again. At this moment, there were 3 more scratches on his mask. You're too naive if you want to use this method. Wang Feng frowned. However, her mouth moved slightly as if she had swallowed something. In the next moment, 2 light figures appeared on her back. Oh? You even prepared Oscar's mushroom sausage? Wang Feng smiled. You didn't swallow it. Were you waiting for me to use my soul-devouring blood wings? It seems like you have a clear understanding of the situation. Do you really think I won't attack you? In midair, the Yue fairy grew a pair of wings, and just as she was about to fly into the sky, Wang Feng swung his god-slaying spear, and 2 terrifying rays of bloody light shot toward Zhu Zhuqing like sharp blades. The blood light turned into a sharp blade that seemed to be able to cut through everything in the world. It directly cut the light wings behind the Yue elf into 2 at an evil angle. Then it exploded in the square. Rumble! The violent explosion caused a crater to appear on the ground of the square. The square in front of the pontiff's palace wasn't simple. Previously they had fought so fiercely with the 3 members of the Golden Generation, but they hadn't caused much damage to the ground. Now 2 attacks from the other party had blasted a huge hole in the ground. One could imagine how terrifying the power of this attack was. This sudden long-range attack caused Tang San's group of 6 to be greatly shocked. The 6 of them were currently in a weakened state, and their soul force had been depleted. All they could do was watch. However, they didn't expect their opponent's soul skill to contain such a powerful long-range attack. The Yue fairy, whose light wings had been destroyed, could only stare at Wang Feng in midair. Wang Feng didn't want to give his opponent a chance to attack. If this continued, the mask on his face would really be broken by his opponent's attack. He didn't have any intention of going easy on her. He directly rushed down towards the Yue fairy. Wang Feng intended to end the match immediately. Attacking the ground from the air was an absolute advantage. Even Zhu Zhuqing, who was in her martial soul true body, couldn't dodge in time. As he descended, Wang Feng swung his god-slaying spear again. Several rays of bloody light sealed off Zhu Zhuqing's dodging range. 6 rays of bloody light came from different angles and landed in the spots where Zhu Zhuqing wanted to dodge. Every spot exploded with a flower of blood and several deep craters. After the explosion, countless blood droplets would splatter. These blood droplets contained extremely strong offensive power. Once they landed on a Soul Master's body, they would be like maggots that could absorb the Soul Master's soul power. Furthermore, they couldn't be removed by any means. Hence, Zhu Zhuqing could only dodge the 6 bloody explosions. There was no time for her to dodge Wang Feng's attacks. She's really agile, Wang Feng thought to himself. The 6 rays of bloody light exploded, but none of the blood droplets landed on Zhu Zhuqing's body. However, at this moment, he had also landed. This time, he didn't use his god-slaying spear to attack. Instead, he used a simple punch to hit the side of the Yue fairy's body. With this punch, the Yue fairy's nimble body was sent flying. There was nothing much to say since he had caused her to be stunned. Wang Feng stood where he was as black light gathered. He used the mysterious underworld spike to hit the Yue fairy's various spots. Boom! The Yue fairy's nimble body landed on the ground. The huge body of energy dissipated. It was a pity. If Zhu Zhuqing had her 5th soul ring, she could still fight. However, they didn't. Wang Feng touched the 3 cracks on his mask. Although he was caught off guard and Zhu Zhuqing accidentally scratched the 3 cracks, they couldn't tell. Sigh, what a pity. Wang Feng shook his head. The few of you aren't very smart. Since you thought of using Zhu Zhuqing's speed to remove the mask, why didn't you think of applying some corrosive poison on Zhu Zhuqing's claws? This way, as long as Zhu Zhuqing can scratch my mask, even if it's just a tiny bit, it can corrode my mask. To think I even prepared 2 masks. Seriously? Wang Feng shook his head. There were many ways to destroy his mask. The situation in the setting sun forest was a little special. They didn't dare to use that method now. However, they could have used other methods. Using Zhu Zhuqing's speed was the right thing to do. This was the only way to attack him, but why didn't they change it a little? At this moment, Tang San and the others had helpless expressions on their faces. We lost. Tang San sighed. I didn't think that he would still be able to use long-range attacks after flying. He didn't give Zhuqing any chance to fly into the air and fight with him at all. He used the air to attack the ground. He didn't give Zhuqing any chance. At the beginning, it was the only chance to attack Zhu Yi. Zhuqing knew that he would definitely use his flying ability to fly into the air to dodge Zhuqing's continuous attack. That's why she prepared the mushroom intestines in advance and didn't give him any chance to catch his breath. However, she didn't expect him to have a long-range attack after flying. The others also smiled bitterly and helplessly. End of chapter. Chapter 449. 9-1 didn't give him any chance. After discovering our plan, he flew into the sky without any hesitation. Dai Mubai was a little dispirited. Furthermore, he did hide his abilities. Logically speaking, Zhuqing should be as fast as a rank 70 agility type soul sage when she unleashed her martial soul true body. She should have surpassed him. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have been able to react to the first attack. However, he was able to react. Furthermore, his speed wasn't inferior to Zhuqing's. This meant that he was hiding his abilities. His speed alone was comparable to a rank 70 agility-type soul sage. Everyone present wasn't stupid. They could tell at once. After that, it was his solo performance. He didn't give Zhuqing any chance at all. He directly sealed off all escape routes for Zhuqing. Then, he landed from the sky and punched the Yu elf. Finally, he used his soul bone to form a weird combo. He didn't give her any chance at all. This was the situation in a competition. When the strong met the weak, the other party didn't give them any chance. They were extremely cautious. It was impossible for them to win. In the previous round, both parties had revealed their trump cards. Their abilities were similar, so it was hard to tell who had the upper hand. But now the other party was strong and they were weak. 9-1 is still 9-1. Tang San shook his head. Why did he give us a chance? Actually, I feel that he was already holding back. Otherwise, he could have attacked Zhuqing directly with the 6 streaks of blood earlier. He wouldn't have sealed off her position and landed a fatal attack on Zhuqing. You saw the explosive power of the blood streak. Think about it. Since the start of the qualifiers, he has been wearing a clean battle suit. His battles are extremely short, straightforward, and fatal. When did he give anyone a chance? Tang San looked at the sky and said softly, 9-1. Teacher once said that this name means that any team that goes up against him only has a 10% chance of winning. Actually, when Zhuqing attacked at the start, she grasped that 10% chance of winning. However, she didn't grasp it. The 7 of them were silent. Any team that went up against him only had a 10% chance of winning. How arrogant was that? This 10% chance of winning didn't belong to you. It was given to you by me. If you catch it, you can win. He's so strong. How can a 10% chance defeat him? Ma Hongjun was speechless. This 10% chance of winning isn't enough to defeat him. Tang San shook his head again. Zhuqing's analysis yesterday was actually quite good. If you want to win against 9-1, all you need to do is take off his mask and reveal his true face. Then, he should really lose. Therefore, this 10% chance of success is to remove his mask. Hearing this, the few of them were stunned. They felt a bit surprised, but they understood something. That was indeed the case. From the start of the qualifiers, as long as a team took off Wang Feng's mask, he would definitely be disqualified. He had lost. Unfortunately, the right team did not see this point. He was always thinking of defeating 9-1. Tang San and the others realized it in the end, but it was too late. They did not prepare enough tactics. Purple Star College wins. The Cardinal was silent for a long time before he finally announced slowly. With this announcement, the Continental Senior Elite Tournament finally came to an end. Tang San looked at the black-robed figure with a sigh. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. 9-1, one person really defeated the entire tournament. I'm afraid that no second person will have such a legendary experience. Although they lost, the 7 of them were not discouraged. They had fully displayed their strength. There was nothing to be discouraged about, but they were still a little disappointed. But they were incomparably impressed and speechless. At this moment, they were even more curious about this 9-1. What kind of person was this 9-1? I'm afraid he will become a legend of the entire continent, Oscar also sighed. It's really hard to imagine. Yes, one person defeated the entire tournament. This was enough to be recorded in the history of the Soul Master world. No one had done it before, and it was impossible for anyone to break this record in the future. At most, it would be a tie. After all, it was impossible to defeat the entire tournament with only one person, right? At this moment, the Pope and several titled Douluo stood up together. Congratulations on obtaining the final victory of this tournament. Bibidon stood up and looked at 9-1. At this moment, everyone present was also looking at 9-1. Even the Martial Soul Hall had to admit. This person had really created the greatest miracle in history. No matter what, they would be recorded in the history of the Soul Master world. I've been in power for so many years. Pope Bibidon walked out of the spectator's stand. As he spoke, he nodded at Hulaina. Hulaina took out the prepared tray from her soul tool. There were 4 soul bones on it. I've never seen such a genius like you. Bibidon looked at 9, 1 and revealed a rare smile. Come up and receive your reward. With your talent, your future is limitless. There weren't many soul masters present, but everyone's eyes were on the 4 soul bones. One person taking all 4 of them. It was truly an inconceivable thing. But it was happening right in front of them. Wang Feng's footsteps paused. Without any hesitation, he walked up and looked at the 4 soul bones. He naturally didn't need these 4 soul bones. When he returned from the tournament and announced his identity, he would just give them to them. After all, it was time for everyone to go their separate ways. After all, they had graduated. Oh yes, 9, 1, are you willing to join the Martial Soul Hall? Bibidon asked slowly as he looked at 9, 1 from a close distance. Although there were 3 scratches, Jiu Kai's face couldn't be seen. It was clear that he had hidden himself very well. However, Bibidon's words seemed to be a final ultimatum. At this moment, Hulaina was looking at 9, 1 curiously. She had to ask him if he wanted to join later. There are many geniuses in the Martial Soul Hall. I don't need anyone. A hoarse voice sounded. Thank you, Your Highness, for your recruitment. I'm used to being alone. I won't join any organization. After hearing this, Bibidon's expression didn't change. He only nodded and watched as 9, 1 kept the soul bones in his soul tool. He didn't stop him. Just as 9, 1 was about to turn around and leave. At this moment, Bibidon spoke again. The tournament is over. In that case, 4 elders, take down Tang San and Jiu Yi first. In an instant, the entire place suddenly quieted down. Countless temple knights suddenly surrounded the square, making it so that not even a drop of water could leak out. Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo looked at each other. What do you mean by this? 9, 1 turned around and looked at Bibidon. End of chapter. Chapter 450. Wang Fengxin broke out in a cold sweat. Sure enough, this Bibidon was definitely not so simple. Xiao Wu didn't reveal her identity. How dare she give such an order? At the same time, Shrek's people were stunned at first, then they quickly gathered together and looked at the Pope with anger and confusion. Your Majesty? Shouldn't you explain the reason? Ning Fengji stood up and said in a deep voice. It didn't matter because he didn't know 9 openings, but he couldn't let the Pope catch Tang San. Ning Fengji, do you want to meddle in other people's business? Bibidon's voice became a little cold, and even Hulaina behind him was a little confused. Obviously, she didn't know the situation. Then you'd better think it over. Bibidon said calmly. The consequence of meddling in other people's business is to become the enemy of our martial spirit palace. Ning Fengji's face darkened. Although the 7 treasure glazed tile sect was very strong, he didn't dare to ruin the future of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect in his own hands. At this moment, he had to take a step back silently. At this time, the master stood out and shouted, Your Majesty, I'm one of the elders of the Martial Spirit Palace. Why do you want to catch him? Or Tang San? If there is no reason, I believe that no soul master in the world of soul masters will believe in the Martial Spirit Palace. His words were very serious and also to remind the other party. Without any reason or excuse, it was impossible for him to make a move recklessly. Doing so would make the Martial Spirit Palace lose the faith and respect in the hearts of all the soul masters on the continent. Reason? Bibidon said indifferently, the reason is very simple. This morning Yen died. He was poisoned to death and was attacked by 9 openings at the same time. Your disciple didn't completely detoxify the poison. He removed the power of his soul bone and absorbed the vitality of our disciple. In addition to the injury caused by 9 openings, he killed Yen at the same time. To put it simply, the two of them used special methods to kill people in the competition. Unfortunately, we found out. In order not to delay the competition, I deliberately announced this after the competition, because this matter is only related to the two of them. The rest of you can leave. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire place fell into dead silence. Tang San's eyes were wide open. His 8 spider spears did indeed have the effect of absorbing the enemy's soul power, but how could it absorb the enemy's life force? The wound caused by the 9-1 split was completely suppressed yesterday. It was impossible for it to be fatal. However, since those words were spoken by the Holy Emperor himself, it meant that the Holy Emperor was truly dead. Or perhaps this was the Pope's excuse to keep the two of them. Tang San's heart sank. This excuse was sufficient. The masters looked at each other and understood that Bibidon was just making up an excuse. She would not let Tang San and Jiu Yi leave this place. It was impossible for him to let go of 2 future powerful enemies. Wang Fengxin was also shocked. These superiors are really unscrupulous in order to achieve their goals. Wang Feng felt that he had underestimated the viciousness of these villains. In the original work, it was because Xiao Wu was a soul beast that Bibidon found an excuse. Wang Feng had warned everyone not to give Xiao Wu a chance to expose herself, but Bibidon could still find an excuse. Now Wang Feng thought that no matter how perfect his plan was, she would definitely find an excuse to keep them here. If she wanted to kill you, even if you accidentally stepped on a piece of the floor in front of the square, it could be used as an excuse. Damn it. Wang Feng sighed. However, Uncle Hao should be here. If he is here, there should be no problem. Wang Feng was not stupid enough to confront the Holy Emperor head-on, and the strength of the Martial Spirit Palace was far stronger than he had imagined. He had planned to go to the Holy Emperor's palace to check in. Plus, Xiao Wu was not exposed, so the Holy Emperor could not find any excuse to kill them and could leave safely. Unfortunately, Wang Feng still underestimated Bibidon, the #1 villain in the original work. On the other side, Shrek's 7 monsters surrounded Tang San. The 7 of them were united and would not let Tang San be taken away. Kid, come with me first. Douluo grabbed Tang San and was about to leave with Tang San. The Holy Emperor obviously only wanted to catch Tang San and Jiu Kai. The others would not move at all. Unfortunately, just as Douluo's Jade Qilin snake true body appeared, a cold snort suddenly sounded. This voice seemed to carry the power of heaven, and it directly made Douluo unable to move. Even his martial spirit true body could not move at all. He could not help but look at Bibidon in horror. At this moment, 9 soul rings suddenly lit up on Bibidon's body, and the last one was scarlet. It was a 100,000-year soul ring. With just the pressure of his soul power, he could imprison a titled Dalu. This Holy Emperor Bibidon's strength was completely beyond everyone's imagination. A 100,000-year soul ring was a treasure that countless soul masters dreamed of. From this, one could imagine just how much of a boost a soul master would receive from this item. Even Wang Feng could feel how terrifying this 100,000-year soul ring was when he saw it for the first time. Other than Douluo, almost everyone from the Shrek Academy could not move at all under the pressure of this soul power. Only Wang Feng's pupils shrank. The pressure of a 100,000-year titled Douluo was simply unimaginable. Wang Feng groaned, and the Black Hoop spiritual skull suddenly released waves of clear energy to relieve this pressure for Wang Feng. Wang Feng was very astonished. Only then did he remember that his skull was a product of the system, and it was at least a 100,000-year soul bone. Its use and functions had probably not been fully explored by him. After all, this thing was too exaggerated for him. How could a rank 45 soul master unleash the power of a 100,000-year soul bone? I underestimated this soul bone. Wang Feng felt the comfort brought by the clear energy. It could actually relieve the pressure of Bibidan's soul power. At this moment, Bibidan waved the scepter in her hand. The four titled Douluo beside her directly rushed towards Tang San. Jiyikai was the closest to the Holy Emperor. There was no need for them to do anything. They should be completely immobilized now. Four titled Douluo and the Holy Emperor, a total of 5 titled Douluo from the Holy Emperor's palace. This lineup was strong enough to make them despair. But at this moment, an indifferent voice sounded from outside. "Get out of my way!" The voice exploded. It was incomparably calm, but there was a unique domineering aura in the voice. Everyone present could not help but tremble. Wang Fengxin suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. Uncle Hao would still appear. If that was the case, then it should be easy to handle. Hearing this, the Shrek Academy was a little stunned, except for Tang San. End of chapter. Chapter 451. Could it be? Tang San's face was full of surprise. Following that, with a low rumble, a light flashed in midair. The four titled Douluo who had released their martial souls were about to rush in front of Tang San and the others, but they were suddenly blasted away, and the four figures were sent flying. His expression changed drastically. At the same time, a voice appeared in midair. Wang Feng's gaze froze. They had not seen each other for several years, but Tang Hao still looked the same. He was dressed in a tattered black robe, slovenly and unshaven. At this moment, other than his sharp eyes, he looked like a beggar on the street. It's been 8 years. Other than aging a little, Uncle Hao hasn't changed at all. Wang Fengxin thought. Beside Tang Hao there was also a huge iron hammer. Accompanied by 9 soul rings, it exuded a terrifying aura that reached the heavens and the earth. Similarly, Tang Hao's last soul ring was also scarlet. 100,000-year soul ring. Dad, Tang San's eyes were filled with tears. At this moment, he suddenly realized that his father had not left him. Since he could appear now, he must have been secretly protecting him. Thinking of this, even Tang San, who had lived 2 lives, was extremely touched. "Tang Hao, you're really here!" Bibidan shouted sternly. As soon as he finished speaking, Bibidan slammed the scepter in his hand on the ground. Boom! An invisible wave of air spread out in all directions. Even Hu Laina, who was behind her, was directly sent flying. It was as if a hurricane had swept through the entire square. Shrek and the others also retreated. They were already suppressed by Bibidan's soul power and could not move at all. At this moment, the group of people instantly fell to the ground. At the same time, several shrill cries sounded from the pontiff's palace. It seemed to be a response. At the same time, Shrek and the others fell to the ground one after another. The yearning heartbroken red in Xiao Wu's arms also suddenly fell out. Seeing this, Bibidan was stunned at first, then he sneered. "How laughable, how laughable! Back then, you went against our martial soul hall for a soul beast. Right now, your son also has a soul beast by his side. The Tang family has truly poked the nest of soul beasts. Don't even think of leaving today." These words simply stunned everyone except Wang Feng. Bibidan was obviously referring to Xiao Wu. Wang Feng was also dumbfounded. Is this even possible? But at this point, it didn't matter whether Xiao Wu exposed herself or not. "Humph!" Tang Hao grunted coldly. His voice directly dispersed Bibidan's chi pressure. "Bibidan, since you know that I'm coming to the pontiff's hall, do you think that you can kill my son with just the few of you?" As if angered by Tang Hao's words, several sharp shrieks erupted from the pontiff's palace. Wang Feng counted. Damn it, there were at least 5 or 6 titled Douluo. Even if the rank 99 Transcendent Douluo wasn't around, there had to be at least 97 or 98 titled Dalu. Sure enough, in the next moment, several streaks of light appeared from the palace and landed behind Bibidan. A total of 9 titled Doulu. Wang Feng couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Ha ha ha, Tang Hao was not afraid at all when he saw this. He stood in the air and exuded a terrifying aura. I, Tang Hao, killed your previous pontiff back then. Today, I can tear down your pontiff's hall. Little 3, watch carefully. This is the true clear sky body. As soon as he finished speaking, Tang Hao's 7th soul ring suddenly lit up. The clear sky hammer seemed to be at least 100 meters long, and it was like a small mountain. Following this, his 9th soul ring lit up, causing the hammer to be suffused with blood-red light, as if it were filled with countless blood-red patterns. Suddenly, it was as if the entire world froze. Bibidan's eyes flashed. You want to attack the pontiff's hall? You want to stop us? The two of you go and capture Tang San, Jiui Kai, and that soul beast. The rest of you follow me. She obviously expected that Tang Hao would secretly protect Tang San, so she was naturally prepared. After saying that, Bibidan and the 6 titled Douluo directly rose into the air, ready to take the hammer strike from Tang Hao's 9th soul skill head-on. Seeing this, Tang Hao's expression changed slightly. The other party didn't attack him. Taking the hammer strike was the right choice. Otherwise, this magnificent pontiff's hall would collapse. But he didn't expect Bibidan to be so cunning as to secretly plant 2 more titled Doulu. Bibidan and the 6 titled Douluo were all above rank 95. These 2 were slightly weaker, only rank 923. But he didn't have time to divert his attention to resist. As for the few people from Shrek Academy, they were directly shaken by the force released by Bibidan's scepter. Even Dugabo was a little dizzy for a moment, and Flanders and Lu Erlong were the same. There was no way they could resist it. What should they do? Seeing the 2 titled Douluo attacking, Shrek and the others were anxious. Dad. Ning Rongrong looked at Ning Fengji in the distance. If Grandpa Jian could make a move now, Tang San would definitely be able to retreat safely. Sect Master Ning, don't do anything stupid. One of the titled Douluo said in a gloomy voice, we won't hurt your daughter. I hope you won't become the enemy of the martial spirit hall. Ning Fengji gritted his teeth. He couldn't make a move now. Even the sword Douluo frowned deeply. If the other party didn't touch Ning Rongrong, they couldn't find any reason to attack, unless they had to sacrifice the entire 7 treasure glazed tile sect. It was already very good that they didn't help either side. Seeing that Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo didn't make a move, the 2 titled Douluo roared and directly attacked Tang San in Shrek's group. At this moment, Grandmaster suddenly looked in another direction. A faint black light barrier suddenly enveloped Tang San's position. Boom! The 2 titled Douluo were stunned. Their bodies slowly lit up, and in a hurry, 2 attacks landed on the black light barrier. Bang! 2 dull sounds rang out, and the 2 titled Douluo flew backward with gloomy expressions. What is this black light barrier? Everyone inside the light barrier was stunned. This light barrier, isn't it? At the same time, a faint voice rang out behind the 2 titled Douluo. Is my 9-1 opening such an embarrassing event? Why didn't you catch me first? I'm very angry. This familiar voice caused everyone to be shocked. Ning Fengji looked at 9-1 Kai in disbelief. The sword Douluo also looked at 9-1 Kai in disbelief. Shrek's 7 monsters also looked at 9-1 Kai in astonishment. Even Flender and the other teachers looked at the 9-1-1 split in horror. 9-1 Kai's palm bloomed behind the 2 titled Douluo. Rip! Wang Feng lifted his black robe and flung it gently. The black robe fluttered in the wind, and together with the 2 masks, 9-1 Kai's true appearance was revealed. Following that, several rays of light lit up from Wang Feng's body. Thorn Lotus. Divinity. Soul-devouring blood wings. Martial soul possession. Waves of aura suddenly burst out from Wang Feng's body. Gold, blood, and black. 3 rays of light intertwined, and a pair of blood wings and 6 pairs of pitch-black shadows slowly rose from Wang Feng's back. An extremely evil aura permeated the entire area. And please count the votes. End of chapter. Chapter 452. Explosion. The entire place exploded. At this moment, Jiu Kai's entire body was surrounded by a bloody mist. It was as if he had returned from purgatory, bringing with him an endless murderous aura. After the black robe dissipated, a light gray windbreaker was revealed. At this moment, the windbreaker was fluttering with the turbulence of the mist. The black clothes inside also seemed to have been activated by the 7 scarlet lines flashing on the body, shining with a bright light. Looking at Jiu Kai's face, it was a handsome face with a hint of evil. At this moment, the pupils in his eyes were red, and the outer iris was black. There were also 7 fine black lines that seemed to cut the eyeballs and rush to the pupils. The most terrifying aura. Behind the 7 pairs of light shadows, 6 black and 1 red, intertwined with a terrifying evil aura. As it swayed slightly, it was as if the entire sky had darkened slightly, causing darkness to descend into the world. Waves of air exploded from Jiu Kai's body. However, no matter how amazing the aura was, everyone present recognized his face. Wang Feng. Jiu Kai was Wang Feng. As early as the moment the black light shield rose, Shrek and the others had already guessed something in their hearts. It was only now that the other party's black robe and mask were all waved away, completely revealing his appearance, that they were completely shocked when they saw the other party's appearance. Other than the master who really knew Wang Feng's identity, the rest, even if they had some guesses in their hearts, didn't dare to be sure because the ability that Jiu Kai displayed was very different from their understanding of Wang Feng. Even Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo were shocked at this moment. They couldn't believe that Jiu Kai was actually Wang Feng. This was too hard to imagine. How could it be the same person? But they didn't expect that it was really the same person. And it was revealed in such a state. At this moment, even the master looked at Wang Feng with a face full of shock. Is it really twin martial souls? The master murmured. Dark angel martial soul possession, although the master didn't know what martial soul possession Wang Feng was talking about. But obviously, it was a real martial soul, and not the transformed form of the green lotus martial soul. Lin Feng actually had a second martial soul, and the situation was probably extremely powerful. That extremely evil and dark aura was about to envelop this space. Ha! Wang Feng shouted softly. The god-slaying spear in his hand shone brightly. The blood-colored patterns on the spear's body surged wildly. Although the 3 forms of the green lotus could not coexist, the additional special state was maintained. It was just that there was a time limit. This was different from the soul-devouring blood wings. The soul-devouring blood wings could only be unleashed with the god-slaying spear in hand. On the other hand, the deified soul skill and the thorny lotus were only a special status. At this point, Wang Feng didn't need the mysterious underworld armor. All he needed to do was increase his attributes as much as possible. The deified soul skill increased all attributes by 4 times, the thorny lotus doubled his defense, the soul-devouring blood wings doubled his attributes, and the soul-devouring blood wings doubled his attack power. With the Dark Angel Martial Soul's possession, it would increase all attributes by at least 2-fold. It would also have a supreme perception of the evilest and most evil aura in the world. It would naturally have the effect of intimidating others. In terms of amplification, all of his attributes had been boosted by more than 7 times, and his attack power and defense had been boosted by 9 times. Coupled with the soul power boost from the Golden Lotus, his soul power had reached rank 50. 5th gear was fully unleashed. At this moment, even the 2 titled Douluo were staring at Jiu Kai in astonishment. Strong. His aura was so strong that it was terrifying. The other party's soul power rank wasn't very high, but the aura that he was emitting right now made the 2 of them feel a little fearful. This kind of fear wasn't just because of his strength, but because of his opponent's martial soul. Following Wang Feng's low roar, his 4 green lotus soul rings shone from his body one after another. However, because he was using his 4th soul ring, only the last 60,000-year soul ring was shining. Everyone was shocked once again. All black soul rings. A rank 45 soul master with all black soul rings. Even everyone from Shrek was so shocked that they couldn't speak. Wang Feng's first soul ring should only be a 1,000-year soul ring. How did it become black too? If they hadn't seen Wang Feng's current appearance, they wouldn't have dared to believe that this was the Wang Feng that they were familiar with and saw every day. Duanren, catch this kid. I'll go and catch the other one. The 2 titled Douluo roared as they looked into the sky. Tang Hao's hammer was almost complete, and the Pope had led the 6 titled Douluo to block it. If they didn't take this opportunity to catch the other party, they wouldn't have another chance. Duanren and Demonic Wind were the names of these 2 titled Dalu. No matter how strong Wang Feng was, the 2 of them didn't plan to deal with one person at the same time. He was a rank 40 soul master, and no matter how hard he tried, he could barely reach the strength of a titled Douluo, right? In addition, the black defensive barrier had completely disappeared, so they naturally split into 2 paths. The 2 titled Douluo's 9 soul rings lit up. The demonic wind Douluo charged directly towards Tang San. His martial soul was a demonic wind leopard, and it had extremely high explosive speed. To prevent any accidents, he directly activated his martial soul true body and turned into a huge green-black demonic wind leopard. He charged in front of Shrek and the others. At this moment, emptiness. With the demonic wind titled Douluo's speed, almost no one present could react in time. However, Wang Feng directly entered the emptiness state. With his current strength, even a titled Douluo could catch him when he entered the emptiness state. Whoosh! A black shadow flashed. The Duanren Douluo, who was charging towards Wang Feng, didn't even have time to react. Although he was a titled Douluo, speed wasn't his forte. There was a loud rumble. The sky exploded, and the demonic wind Douluo was directly sent flying. Several wounds appeared on his body. They were wounds from the god-slaying spear. When the emptiness state was activated, the stronger one would be after entering the emptiness state. When Wang Feng entered the emptiness state with his 2nd gear strength as a 6-ringed soul emperor, the difference in speed was too great. He was almost able to stop Tang San and the others, and time seemed to have stopped. With Wang Feng's current 5th gear strength, even Fred and the other teachers seemed to have stopped when he entered the emptiness state. However, it wasn't enough to stop a titled Douluo, especially one with a speed-type martial soul like the demonic wind leopard. However, it was just that he couldn't stop. His speed in the emptiness state was not inferior to the demonic wind Douluo's. Even Dugubo couldn't see what had happened in that instant. The demonic wind Douluo, who had activated his martial soul true body, was directly sent flying. Only the sword Douluo, who had several soul rings on his body, saw it clearly. Wang Feng's speed was too fast. In an instant, he was in front of Shrek and the others. He directly sent the demonic wind Douluo flying with his spear. The blade of the spear flashed with cold light, and more than 10 spears were sent flying in an instant. If not for the demonic wind Douluo's quick reaction, there would be more injuries on his body. Go! Wang Feng shouted in a low voice. His words were directed at Little Three. After speaking, a light flashed in Wang Feng's hand. He quickly threw the 4 soul bones and the soul bone he obtained from Shernyen to Tang San and the others. After that, he charged towards the demonic wind Douluo again. End of chapter. Chapter 453. On the other side, Broken Blade also reacted abruptly. Shrek and the others quickly reacted and retreated. Suddenly, the 2 titled Douluo charged towards Wang Feng. The two of them now understood that this kid seemed to be ridiculously strong. If they didn't catch and deal with this kid first, they probably wouldn't be able to catch that soul beast and Tang San. Then let's capture him first. The demonic wind Douluo used his soul power to seal off the multiple gunshot wounds on his body as he endured the intense pain. As a titled Douluo, he had already gone through countless battles. However, this wound was very strange, and it directly attacked his soul. Even though he forcefully used his soul power to seal the wound, the pain didn't disappear. Furthermore, his soul power was still being drained, and the fear in his heart was gradually increasing. If this continued, he would probably lose his ability to fight before long. However, he was still able to endure it. The Duanren Douluo didn't say anything. Instead, a cold light flashed in his hand, and his broken blade suddenly transformed into a terrifying blade that was several dozen meters long. The broken blade, which had revealed its martial soul true body, slashed towards Wang Feng. Wang Feng held his spear and stood there without fear. The 7 pairs of light wings on his back flashed, and he turned into a stream of light. Swish! Swish! In the void realm state, dozens of intertwining lights erupted in almost a second. If the two of them were 3 levels stronger, they would be as powerful as the Gui Douluo, and Wang Feng wouldn't have been able to resist them. However, these two were only around rank 92, and were considered ordinary Douluo. With his 5th stage power, he could attempt to block it. Of course, he wouldn't be able to kill them instantly. A titled Douluo was too strong. Even a normal Douluo wouldn't be more than rank 50 with his soul power. There was a difference of more than 40 ranks in soul power and 5 soul skills. There was no way he could have insta-killed her. It was extremely difficult to kill them. They could only rely on the god-slaying spear to inflict a large number of injuries on them. Furthermore, Wang Feng couldn't casually switch back to his green lotus state. If he switched back to his red lotus state and used his karmic fire, he wouldn't be able to use his soul-killing spear and soul-devouring bloodwings soul skills. His strength would be greatly reduced. Even a titled Douluo could use their powerful strength to forcefully seal the god-slaying spear's injuries, preventing them from spreading. However, they could not heal them either. Furthermore, with the effect of blood devour, the more they fought, the more their strength decreased. With the void realm and the ability to fly, Wang Feng was able to dodge most of their attacks. Wang Feng didn't underestimate the strength of a titled Douluo, so he didn't dare to hide anything. He didn't use the Pangu axe so that he could still escape later. This was because Tang Hao's hammer strike would severely injure all 7 titled Douluo, including Bibidon. At that time, it would be his chance to escape. Wang Feng only needed to hold off these 2 titled Douluo for a short period of time. At this time, the retreating Shrek and the others were even more shocked. The sword Douluo and Ning Fengji were also completely dumbstruck. Is he really Wang Feng? Ning Fengji's voice trembled slightly. Fighting 2 titled Douluo alone? And from the looks of it, he's not at a disadvantage? The sword Douluo rubbed his eyes. 2 years ago, this brat was able to withstand 3 kicks from him without using any soul power. It hasn't even been 3 years, but he can already fight 2 titled Douluo on his own? What kind of monster is this kid? The sword Douluo murmured. Even though these 2 titled Douluo were the weakest in the martial soul palace, they were only around rank 92. But they were still titled Douluo. A soul ancestor over rank 40 could fight 2 titled Douluo on his own? If news of this got out, the entire continent would go crazy. What do you plan to do, Fengji? The sword Douluo looked at the 3 streaks of light on the plaza. The 10-meter-long broken blade shattered the plaza almost every time it attacked, leaving a long scar. Save him? But the martial soul palace will never let him go. This talent was too terrifying. No wonder this brat could win the entire tournament with a 9-to-1 ratio. He actually hid such a powerful strength. But the more this was the case, the more Pope Bibidon would not let him go. I don't know. We'll see. If there's a chance, we can't let this brat die. Ning Fengji gritted his teeth. He could not imagine how monstrous this kind of genius would be when he grew up. Vast heaven Douluo? Sorry, but with this brat's strength at such a young age, even 3 vast heaven Douluos might not be able to catch up to him. Even in the history of the continent, there was no precedent of someone who could fight titled Douluo consecutively before the age of 15. The more he looked, the more shocked he was. The same was true for Shrek and the others. As they retreated from the plaza around Tang San and Xiao Wu, they were also shocked by the fact that Wang Feng was fighting 2 titled Douluo alone. Even Grandmaster, who knew Wang Feng the most, was extremely shocked. This was even more shocking than seeing his idol, Tang Hao. In the world of Soul Masters, Grandmaster admired Tang Hao the most. He dared to go against the martial Soul Palace alone. But at this moment, when he saw Wang Feng, who turned into streaks of light and fought with 2 titled Douluo in the plaza, he was shocked and even admired him. He was not even 15 years old. A 15-year-old child defeated 2 titled Douluo? But at this moment the group was extremely silent. They did not say a word. They only seized the time to retreat because the sky had already darkened. In the center of the plaza, in a second, the 3 of them seemed to have exchanged dozens of blows. The more Mo Feng and Broken Blade fought, the more injuries they suffered. They released their soul rings again and again, but they could not hurt Wang Feng. They could only hurt Wang Feng when they used their 8th and 9th soul skills. However, even titled Douluo like them could not use these soul skills consecutively. Wang Feng was still slightly injured. Broken Blade Douluo's 8th and 9th soul skills were single-target soul skills that had extremely powerful lock-on abilities. Even in the Void Realm, Wang Feng was unable to completely evade them. In addition, the Demon Wind Douluo was also attacking, so Wang Feng was naturally able to completely evade them. After all, the difference in soul power was simply too great. Furthermore, these 2 titled Douluo were not weak. Neither of them was inferior to Douluo. In terms of one-on-one combat, they were far superior to Douluo. However, they were only slightly injured, and it did not affect Wang Feng in the slightest. In contrast, the 2 titled Douluo were sustaining more and more injuries. They did not have Ming's powerful life force, and once the God-slaying spear's injuries piled up, it could not be sealed. In particular, the pain was unavoidable. Their powers would be drastically reduced, and they would die a slow death. As such, the more they fought, the more fearful the 2 titled Douluo became. In just a few seconds, the 3 of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Not only were they unable to defeat Tang San, they were also being temporarily suppressed by him. In particular, every time they clashed, the 2 titled Douluo were struck by a sense of fear toward their opponent's martial soul. If this continued, it was likely that Tang San would really be able to escape. Use a combination skill. The Demon Wind Douluo gritted his teeth. Take care of him with one attack. Broken Blade nodded. If this continued, they would only become more and more miserable. All 9 of their soul rings suddenly lit up, and their 9th soul ring lit up once again. Wind Demon Broken Blade slash. The 2 of them roared, and the demonic wind leopard martial soul true body leaped high into the air. It turned into a shadow, and jumped directly onto the broken blade. In an instant, the broken blade turned pitch black, and countless green patterns appeared on the blade's body. The blade slashed down, and it seemed to have pierced through space to lock onto Wang Feng. Chapter 454. Wang Feng was astonished. Damn, titled Douluo are indeed impressive. They still have such a combination soul skill even in such a state? This wasn't a true martial soul fusion skill. It was more like a combination of soul skills. This was because both of them were using their 9th soul skills. However, it was normal, as titled Douluo, who didn't have some trump cards. In the void state, Wang Feng's skull shone. His spiritual perception had reached the limit as he tried to dodge this attack. However, it was a pity that this was still a titled Douluo's trump card. Quick. Too quick. Even in the Void Realm, Wang Feng couldn't dodge it completely. Light flashed. Wang Feng shouted. At this crucial moment, the two spears in his hands shot out two streaks of bloody light at the two titled Dalu. Since he couldn't dodge, Wang Feng could only make use of this opportunity to hurt his enemies. Boom! There was a huge explosion. The two titled Douluo had just released their 9th soul skills and used a combination soul skill. They couldn't dodge in time and were hit by the god-slaying spear's bloody blade. Blood splattered everywhere. At the same time, Wang Feng's position exploded. Most of Wang Feng's robe had been cut into pieces by the broken blade. There were dozens of wounds on his body and blood was gushing out. I've underestimated titled Dalu. Wang Feng snorted coldly. His entire body was shaken by this attack. However, his wounds were recovering very quickly. Because of the blood-devouring effect, he could absorb the soul power and life energy of the two titled Dalu. As long as he was still fighting, he would only become stronger. However, he couldn't sustain his spiritual power. The Void Realm was very taxing on one's spiritual power and physical body. The eruption of this kind of super potential was burning an endless amount of energy every second. Wang Feng's physical body could still withstand it. However, his spiritual power was being depleted very quickly. If not for the spiritual power released by the black-banded spiritual skull, he wouldn't have been able to enter the Void Realm now. As the light dissipated, the two titled Douluo were sprawled on the ground. They were very pale. He could have dodged the god-slaying spear's bloody light, but he was too injured. In addition, he had just used a soul skill. It was almost impossible for him to dodge in time. He was almost hit by the full attack, which caused a lot of damage. He had almost lost his ability to fight now. Furthermore, his injuries were worsening with every second. Wang Feng also appeared to be covered in blood, but in reality, it was just that he had expended too much of his spiritual power. His injuries were not serious. Furthermore, he had sufficient soul power. If he had used the Pangu axe, these two titled Douluo might have died. However, Wang Feng probably wouldn't have much soul power left. However, when the rest of the people saw this scene, their hearts skipped a beat. There was no other way. Seeing Wang Feng covered in blood and wounds, on the verge of collapsing, anyone would think that he was seriously injured. Wang Feng! Ning Rongrong screamed as tears streamed down her face. She wanted to rush over, but Lu Erlong held her back. No matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't get out. That was because Tang Hao's clear sky hammer had already descended. However, Lu Erlong managed to grab one, but not the second. It was Zhu Zhuqing. It was too fast. She almost rushed out at the first moment. Like a fairy, she wanted to rush to Wang Feng's side. Right at this moment. Rumble! There was a muffled sound in the sky, as if the entire world was trembling. In midair, Tang Hao spat out a mouthful of blood, but he didn't stop. He turned into a gust of wind and descended towards Shrek and the others. He didn't give them any time to react and directly took away Tang San and Xiao Wu. Finally, Tang Hao took a deep look at where Wang Feng was. He knew that he didn't have time to take Xiao Feng away, because once he went over, he wouldn't be able to leave at all. Then, the time that Xiao Feng had bought for them and his injuries would be completely wasted. At this time, the 7 figures also landed not far in front of Wang Feng. They were almost smashing down hard. Every time one of them landed, a deep pit would be created in the plaza. Only Bibi Dong barely managed to land on her feet. However, her complexion was also very pale. It was obvious that she had suffered quite a bit of injury from blocking Tang Hao's hammer strike. Looking at Tang Shan and Xiao Wu, who had disappeared from Shrek's group, Bibidan's expression became even worse. She roared and ignored Shrek's group. Instead, she turned to look at Wang Feng and Zhu Zhuqing, who had just rushed to Wang Feng's side. It was this kid. If it weren't for him, Tang San and the soul beast that escaped back then would have been left behind. Because in that situation, Tang Hao had used his martial soul true body and ninth soul skill to destroy the pontiff's palace, and he himself could take any attack. The two titled Douluo could have left Tang San and the soul beast behind, and they could have attacked and even killed Tang Hao. It could be said that they had killed two birds with one stone. But now everything was ruined by this 911. How could she tolerate that? When she sent people to assassinate Tang San, not only did they fail, but the two soul Douluo who returned were still not healed. They were even on the verge of death. They also lost many soul masters, which shocked Bibidon. Logically speaking, even if they failed, they shouldn't have lost so badly. They even lost 2 soul Douluo and 4 soul emperors. What did that mean? Bibidon was very cautious because of that. Originally, the pontiff's palace had only prepared 7 titled Douluo to deal with Tang Hao. Because of the failure of this assassination, they lost 2 soul Douluo and 4 soul emperors, so Bibidon sent 2 more titled Douluo just in case. Wang Feng probably didn't expect that Bibidon would send these 2 titled Douluo, because he had killed 4 soul emperors and injured 2 soul Douluo on the way here. This peck and drink could be said to be predestined. Bibidon shook the ground with the scepter in his hand, and he instantly disappeared and attacked Wang Feng. Fast. Extremely fast. Even Wang Feng, who was in the void realm, couldn't react at all. Bibidon had 100,000-year soul ring. Even if he was injured, Wang Feng couldn't compare to him at all. Wang Feng's expression changed. He couldn't dodge at all. He could only take advantage of this short moment to step out and push Zhu Zhuqing a few meters away. He didn't expect Zhu Zhuqing to rush over after seeing the blood and injuries all over his body. Boom! Bibidon's scepter struck Wang Feng's chest directly. Splat! Wang Feng was thrown back more than 10 meters. He spat out blood, but he still managed to stand on the ground. His robe was torn, and the dark and evil aura was becoming stronger and stronger. Too strong. Bibidon's abilities are at least that of an ultimate Dalu. Even if he's injured, he can't resist him. The meteoric tear in his heart surged with power and repaired his body. Bibidon used the meteoric tear to its maximum in one move. He's not dead. Bibidon's pupils shrank. She looked at the 2 injured titled Douluo, and there was endless astonishment in her eyes. He fought against 2 titled Douluo on a 9-to-1 basis. But he's not dead after taking 1 move from me? Bibidon couldn't believe it. Even though she didn't use much of her strength because she was injured, her scepter should have been able to shatter his heart meridians. But he's not dead. Bibidon didn't know that her scepter had struck Wang Feng's toughest spot, the meteoric tear in his heart. However, Bibidon didn't hesitate. A cold light flashed in her eyes, and she swung her scepter again. But at this moment, Zhu Zhuqing, who had been pushed away, took advantage of Bibidon's momentary shock to stand in front of Wang Feng. Chapter 455. As he had never used a spear before, Wang Feng had always treated the weapon in his hand as a tool to attack his enemies. The god-slaying spear had all sorts of powerful attacking effects, but Wang Feng had never paid attention to the god-slaying spear itself. The god-slaying spear itself is extremely powerful. I paid too much attention to its additional abilities and neglected the fact that it is a spear. When I was fighting against the 2 titled Douluo, many of my attacks were ineffective. I only relied on my powerful state to inflict a lot of injuries on them. Wang Feng shook his head. If I continue to practice in my current state and understand more of the spear's abilities and techniques, I can do better and save more soul power. The sudden enlightenment just now gave Wang Feng a deeper understanding of the spear's usage. Spears required skills. After comprehending the spear's techniques, I should be able to create my own unique technique? Wang Feng pondered. It's similar to the disorder-splitting wind hammer technique, but that's a hammer technique. He had to learn how to use a spear before he could comprehend it. Of course, Wang Feng would not modify the disorder-splitting wind hammer technique. That was not suitable for spears at all. Furthermore, that kind of hammer technique was too troublesome. It's best if the spear can kill in one shot. One shot is the greatest power. Can I condense all the techniques and comprehension into one shot? Wang Feng muttered. With a rough idea, Wang Feng practiced his spear techniques in this ice valley while thinking about what kind of godly spear technique he should create. Wang Feng did not want to create a wuxia type of spear technique. It was too troublesome and not suitable. He wanted to create a spear technique of a higher level. Another month later, most of the ice crystal pillars in the ice valley had been pierced into pieces by Wang Feng. Wang Feng had become more familiar with the usage of the spear. Vaguely, Wang Feng could feel that something was different. Wang Feng felt that this kind of improvement was very slow. Because he was no longer an ordinary person. Perhaps an ordinary person might not be able to improve as fast as him even after practicing for a few years. But Wang Feng thought about how he had the spiritual skull now. His spiritual power had increased greatly, and his physical fitness could be considered half a superhuman in his previous life. His understanding of various weapons, understanding of his own body structure, and grasping all kinds of knowledge were naturally very fast. Although he had zero foundation in the spear and didn't even know the basic spear techniques, he was still able to control the spear. However, Wang Feng was still somewhat dissatisfied with the fact that he had only grasped the various techniques of the spear in a month. He had only managed to faintly comprehend a little bit of the concept. Moreover, there was already a bottleneck. Wang Feng felt that no matter how much he practiced, he would not make any progress. In that case, let's fight and find a 40 to 50,000 year soul beast, or even a soul beast of an even higher rank. Let's see if I can make a breakthrough in my understanding of the spear without using any soul skills. Create a real spear technique? Wang Feng took a deep breath. 10,000-year soul beasts weren't rare in the outer regions, and Wang Feng had encountered quite a few of them. However, there were relatively few 10,000-year soul beasts. There should be a lot of them in the inner circle of the extreme north. If he didn't use any soul skills and only used the mysterious underworld spike to form a spear, his strength would be equivalent to a rank 60 soul warrior. Once second gear was activated, even if he didn't use the void realm, he would still be able to match a rank 70 soul master. Of course, this was only a simple comparison of strength. With Wang Feng's performance, he could easily win. However, it would be very difficult for him to defeat a 10,000-year soul beast with the strength of first gear without using any soul skills. For a rank 60 soul master, this was something that was almost impossible. Back then, Wang Feng had to use the power of the Pangu axe to kill the 60,000-year-old blood-winged dragon beetle with 3 chop. That was the strength of the peak of 6th gear. Now that he was much stronger, it would be difficult for him to only use first gear and kill it with his spear. However, Wang Feng didn't hesitate. On a new day, he walked out of the wooden house and used his skull's sensory soul skill to quickly sense the strong soul beasts around him. After walking for about 2 to 3 kilometers in the outer circle, Wang Feng finally found a 10,000-year soul beast. It should be a 60,000-year soul beast, and it should be the more violent type. Windwing Blizzard Crocodile. Wang Feng knew that this type of soul beast was violent and bloodthirsty. It controlled wind and ice, and was a very good type of soul beast for soul masters. It was about 5 meters long and 2 meters tall, and was similar to a normal crocodile. It had a pair of green wings on its back, and its wings were about 4 to 5 meters long. Its entire body was covered with a layer of icicles, and its eyes were green and red. In the outer regions of the extreme north, it should be considered a small overlord. Wang Feng sealed the 3 martial souls in his body. The mysterious underworld spike also turned into a spear. Since he wanted to improve his spear skills through extreme battles, he couldn't use his martial soul or soul skills. Almost a year had passed. When Wang Feng faced a 60,000-year soul beast, he was still a rank 40 soul master and had to use his 6th gear Pangu axe. Now that he was facing a 60,000-year soul beast again, Wang Feng only used 1st gear, and it was very dangerous. This violent blood crocodile wasn't as big as the blood-winged dragon beetle. However, it was also because of this that this violent blood crocodile was faster, and it was easier for it to dodge the enemy's attack. At this moment, the originally white sky suddenly flashed with dark clouds, and lightning flashed occasionally. Oh? The weather isn't good? Wang Feng was astonished. It's rare to see such thunderclouds in the extreme north, but it doesn't matter. Wang Feng took a deep breath and concentrated. He held the spear formed by the mysterious underworld spike tightly in his hand and looked at the windwing blizzard crocodile 100 meters away. Although it wasn't big, it was only small compared to the blood-winged dragon beetle, which was comparable to 2 football fields. In fact, this beast was still a huge monster to Wang Feng. Because he had to face the windwing blizzard crocodile, Wang Feng didn't even use his skull's Shadowmist soul skill. He walked out of the room with his back straight. The windwing blizzard crocodile was speechless. It noticed Wang Feng almost immediately and was stunned for a moment. Soul masters rarely appeared in the extreme north. It was a 60,000-year soul beast, and it was an overlord in the outer regions. Normal soul masters would run away when they saw it. Who would dare to walk over? A 10,000-year soul beast had intelligence that wasn't inferior to a human, let alone a 60,000-year soul beast. The moment it saw Wang Feng, it was first stunned, then it became angry. Roar! Seeing this, the violent snow crocodile roared. Its legs shook the ground, and countless icicles swept towards Wang Feng. The icicles were at least 3 to 4 meters tall, and they emerged from the snow. They were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they were in front of Wang Feng. Wang Feng's eyes flashed, and he gathered strength in his palm. In a flash, the tip of his spear stabbed forward. Boom! The icicle was directly pierced and exploded, but his entire body was also sent flying high into the air by the force of the explosion. The violent snow crocodile didn't give Wang Feng a chance to catch his breath. It didn't expect this human to be able to block a normal attack. It quickly condensed several balls of icy light in its mouth, and then shot them at Wang Feng. End of chapter. Chapter 456. This ball of light was faster than the ice thorns just now. There were a total of 3, and they came out from its mouth and attacked from 3 different angles. Wang Feng, who had just landed on the ground, frowned when he saw the icy ball of light coming. In a short moment, Wang Feng channeled his soul power to the surface of the spear and flicked it lightly, directly deflecting one of the balls of light. Then, with the rebound force, the spear tip turned and deflected the other 2 balls of light. Boom, boom, boom! The 3 icy balls of light exploded, blasting out countless icicles. The place where they landed was blown into a pit more than 10 meters deep, and the surrounding trees of ice and snow were directly blown away. The power was extremely powerful. Ordinary soul masters over rank 60 would find it difficult to withstand. Although the balls of light were deflected, Wang Feng still suffered some of the aftermath of the explosion. Fortunately, his physical fitness was strong. Even if it was only 1st grade, he was no longer a rank 40 soul master. Taking advantage of this aftermath, Wang Feng rushed directly toward the blizzard crocodile. The blizzard crocodile obviously didn't expect that this soul master with low soul power fluctuations could easily dodge its attack and even attack it. It became even angrier. Because of the snow, the speed of ordinary soul masters would be greatly affected, but Wang Feng had long been used to it and his body was light. At this time, using the aftermath of the explosion to rush over, there were no footprints in the snow, as if he was flying. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the blizzard crocodile. The terrifying power of a 60,000-year soul beast was released, but Wang Feng had the black hoop spiritual skull and was not affected at all. His speed did not decrease but increased. Whoosh! Even the pressure was useless. This huge blizzard crocodile's eyes flashed with a cold light, and with a swing of its tail, it swept directly toward Wang Feng. Its tail was at least 2 meters long, slender and full of dense icicles. The barbs also exuded a cold light. Once hit, even if one didn't die, they would be crippled. Wang Feng looked at the sweeping tail and jumped lightly. He directly jumped several meters high and attacked the wings of the blizzard crocodile with his spear. However, at this moment, the green wings of the blizzard crocodile seemed to have turned into ice crystals and shook violently. Wang Feng's spear tip pierced the back wings of the blizzard crocodile. He only felt that the wings were extremely hard, several times harder than the ice crystal pillars in the ice valley. It was difficult to penetrate. Then, the tail of the blizzard crocodile directly reversed and swung toward Wang Feng's back. Bang! In midair, Wang Feng had no choice but to place his spear behind his back and barely block the attack. Bang! The huge force of the tail instantly sent Wang Feng flying. He landed in the snow far away, creating a snow pit. First-grade strength against a 60,000-year soul. It's too difficult. The long spear formed by the Xianming spike is unable to cause any damage to him. Wang Feng got up and coughed a few times. Even though he had used his spear to block the attack just now and had managed to dissipate a portion of its strength, the attack of a 60,000-year soul beast wasn't that simple. But he was fine. Let's continue. I don't believe that it's impossible. Wang Feng rushed forward again. He wanted to use this battle to hone his special spear skills, and this windwing blizzard crocodile was a very good choice. Although it was very dangerous. However, Wang Feng was not afraid because he had the meteoric tear. The battle continued. In a real battle, Wang Feng was able to use the various spear techniques that he had comprehended in the past month smoothly. His comprehension was also increasing. However, he still couldn't break through the blizzard crocodile's defense. As an ice-type soul beast, the blizzard crocodile was covered in hard icicles except for its wings. Its defense was extremely high. Even a rank 70 soul master might not be able to cause effective damage to it. While its wings looked weak in battle, they could become extremely hard in time, making it very difficult to deal with. Therefore, the more he fought, the more injuries Wang Feng had on his body. However, he became more and more proficient in using the spear. Every spear could accurately hit the blizzard crocodile, stabbing and blocking from various angles. He didn't hold back at all. The blizzard crocodile became angrier as it fought. This human soul master was obviously not strong, but it couldn't kill him. What an annoying beast! To it, Wang Feng was about the size of a cat. Although he couldn't cause it any harm by jumping around, it was still very annoying. It seemed to be a little angry. The green wings on the blizzard crocodile's back suddenly emitted an intense light and flapped fiercely. A terrifying hurricane suddenly swept towards Wang Feng. The hurricane's momentum was difficult to resist. This hurricane instantly uprooted the snow and trees on the ground. Although Wang Feng had the mysterious underworld armor, he was still directly blown high into the air. He couldn't help but be startled. Although his body was injured at this time, it wasn't a big problem. He had been trying out his spear skills, and there were some faint signs. However, he still felt that it wasn't enough. At this time, the blizzard crocodile suddenly showed its power, and it seemed to intend to do it for real. At this time, the thunderclouds in the sky flickered, and sometimes lightning streaked across the sky. The momentum was astonishing. Seeing Wang Feng being blown away, the blizzard crocodile's wings flapped rapidly. The terrifying hurricane made it impossible for Wang Feng to stabilize his body. Then, its body shook, and several icy balls of light exploded in the air toward Wang Feng. Boom, boom, boom. Several icy balls of light exploded around Wang Feng's body. Naturally, Wang Feng's body was covered in wounds. The strength of a 60,000-year soul beast was not to be underestimated. It almost didn't give Wang Feng any chance, and several balls of light exploded in succession. Moreover, the hurricane also formed countless wind blades, cutting through the air. Every time they cut through the air, Wang Feng's body would be left with a faint scar. Wang Feng barely used his spear to resist while thinking of countermeasures. If he opened second gear or casually used a soul skill, he could get through this difficult situation. I want to use a spear, otherwise, what's the point? Wang Feng murmured. I want to create my own spear skill. Closing his eyes, Wang Feng relied on his perception and barely used the spear in his hand to resist the attacks of the wind blades and light balls in the air. At this time, the purple lightning in the sky suddenly spread out in the distance, exploding into a terrifying electric flower. In an instant, it caused a big tree in the distance to explode, and then the sound of thunder could be heard. Wang Feng suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the rolling thunderclouds in the sky, feeling the fierce hurricane from the blizzard crocodile's wings. Wind. Thunder. Wind is invisible and omnipresent. Thunder is strong, condensed but not released. The power of wind and thunder, if the two can be combined, the invisible eruption of the strongest tangible power condensed in an instant. So mysterious, but I think I understand something. Wang Feng took a deep breath. His brain seemed to be in a state of extreme operation, and his skull was glowing. At this moment, all the experiences of the past 2 lives flashed through Wang Feng's mind, turning into countless thoughts. In the next moment, Wang Feng suddenly gathered his spear and pointed it at the sky like a lightning rod. His soul power endlessly poured into the spear. Boom! The purple lightning in the sky suddenly struck down and directly fell into the spear, bathing Wang Feng's whole body in purple lightning. The thunderclouds and lightning were the power of nature. Although it did not contain any other energy, it was still not something that ordinary creatures could bear. But at this time, Wang Feng's eyes were clear and bright. Under the lightning, Wang Feng's eyes shook, and his hand slowly moved the spear in a mysterious trajectory. The hurricane that the blizzard crocodile blew out seemed to be under Wang Feng's control. It made Wang Feng stand upright in the air. The hurricane turned into a tornado, sweeping around Wang Feng's body. It even had faint flashes of lightning. The blizzard crocodile roared. It did not know what was going on. This spear uses the wind and thunder of heaven and earth as the power, and the experiences of all lives as the divine thoughts. It will be called Wind Thunder Absolute God Spear Technique. Eat my spear. In the air, the spear in Wang Feng's hand flashed with lightning and the wind whistled. Vaguely, the world seemed to have darkened, and the sky was flickering with lightning. A terrifying thought condensed in Wang Feng's mind. Borrowing the power of wind and thunder, he pierced through the heavy attacks of the blizzard crocodile from the sky. Like a green and purple light, it fell on the blizzard crocodile's body with a lightning-like trajectory. Boom! The terrifying explosion caused the surrounding snow to collapse. A mournful and unwilling roar came from the mouth of the wind-winged blizzard crocodile. At night there will be end of chapter. Chapter 457. With that figure as the center, all the trees in front of him were crushed to pieces. A vacuum was formed. Wang Feng did not turn around to escape because it was meaningless. What kind of concept was a level 99 peerless Douluo? He was infinitely close to the level of world god Douluo. Even De Ming and Air Ming would have to rest if they were here. Wang Feng knew that it was impossible for him to escape from this peerless Douluo in his current state. The moment the other party came down, Wang Feng knew that he had been completely locked on. Wang Feng was very calm. He had used up all his trump cards, but he was also waiting. He could not escape what was to come. Wang Feng slowly walked out and sized up the old man 100 meters away. The old man was wearing a light golden robe. His snow-white hair was very long and slightly covered his face. However, when the breeze brushed his white hair, his old face could be clearly seen. He was tall and straight, at least 9 meters tall. His golden eyes emitted a divine light as he calmly looked at Wang Feng. Even in the original work, Wang Feng did not know much about the Thousand Daos flow. Wang Feng did not read much of the original work and only knew the general relationship between the characters. Wang Feng did not know what kind of person he was. At this moment, looking at one of the 3 peerless Douluo in the Douluo world, Wang Feng suddenly smiled. "Why are you smiling?" The Thousand Daos flow seemed to be interested in Wang Feng. Although he looked old, his voice was still vigorous and clear. "Senior, are you here to kill me?" Wang Feng took a few steps forward and said slowly. Hearing that, the Thousand Daos flow was slightly stunned. He said indifferently, "Since you know your own limits, why don't you kill yourself?" "Senior, why do you want to kill me?" However, Wang Feng turned a deaf ear and continued to ask, "Is it because I'm not from the martial spirit hall and offended you? Or because I offended you because of my martial spirit?" Wang Feng did not remember much about the Thousand Daos flow. However, he vaguely remembered that this old monster had always been hiding behind the martial spirit hall and rarely appeared. In the original work, Tang Hao came to the martial spirit hall to cause trouble, but he did not care. Moreover, Wang Feng vaguely remembered that the Thousand Daos flow seemed to have chased after Tang Hao. Why did the Thousand Daos flow not make a move when Tang Hao came to cause trouble in the original work? It was such a good opportunity. In Wang Feng's mind, it should be that the Thousand Streams wanted to use Tang Hao to beat up the Bibidon. Then, why did he want to kill him? He did not even care that Tang Hao was looking for trouble. Why did he want to kill him? It could only be because of his martial soul. Both. Qian Dalu stood in place with his hands behind his back. "If you only offended the martial spirit palace, you offended her. It has nothing to do with me. However, I have never seen or heard of your martial spirit. But with such a dark and evil angel martial spirit, my angel clan must exterminate you." Thousand Daos flow seemed to be interested in Wang Feng and did not intend to kill him directly. In other words, Wang Feng's performance in the martial spirit palace had piqued his interest. Hearing this, Wang Feng remembered Qian Daolia's identity. He was from the angel tribe and had the angel martial soul. However, he did not have the right to inherit the position of God. He was only a guide for the angel tribe. He worshipped the angel god and was considered a protector. Only the Qian Rinxue with the 6-winged angel martial soul was qualified to inherit the position of angel god. This was probably why Qian Rinxue was the only one who could sense his presence back in the Heaven Do Empire. From this point of view, Qian Daolu did have a reason to kill him. But logically speaking, this dark angel martial soul was forcefully given to him by the system. "No." Wang Feng suddenly said, "Senior, may I ask if your angel tribe has any records of my angel martial soul?" Hearing this, Qian Daolu was stunned. There really was no such record. To be precise, Wang Feng's dark angel martial soul probably did not exist in the Douluo world. If there really was one, there would have been a bunch of evil forces that opposed the martial spirit palace, such as the Dark Soul Palace and the Holy Spirit sect that worshipped dark angels. But in the current Douluo world, it seemed that there was no such thing? Wang Feng had never heard of it in history. This meant that Wang Feng's dark angel martial soul had never appeared in the Douluo world. Or perhaps, the angel god had not fallen into darkness? What if my martial soul is a mutation of the angel tribe? Wang Feng suddenly laughed. "We are all from the angel tribe. At that time, I might be able to bring glory to the angel tribe. Senior should also be able to see that my angel martial soul is not weak. In the future, I might even become a god. At that time, my angel tribe will definitely bring glory to the entire continent and give the future generations more choices. Isn't that so? As for dark evil, Senior, forgive me for being blunt, but these are just two different attributes. Wang Feng continued slowly. Moreover, my angel martial soul has never appeared in the history of the angel tribe. Senior, are you planning to kill me just like that? I am the only descendant of a mutated angel. Wang Feng did not care whether the other party was Qian Dalu or not. She was different from Bibi Dong, who was ruthless and arrogant. For people like Bibi Dong, they wanted to kill you without even seeing you. It's impossible for you to fool and convince her. And this Qian Dalu had no enmity with him. To a certain extent, he had saved his precious granddaughter. Although Qian Dalu was also a member of the Martial Spirit Palace, she did not care about the affairs of the world. Qian Rinxue was Bibidan's daughter, but their mother-daughter relationship was almost non-existent. Therefore, Wang Feng decided to give it a try. The holy light and the evil darkness are just two different types of energy. Wang Feng kept talking like a cannon. If you use it for evil, you will be evil. If you use it for holy, you will be holy. I believe the angel tribe that Senior belongs to should not have a hard and fast rule that states that you must kill a mutated dark angel martial soul like me, right? It was impossible for there to be such a rule, because Wang Feng was the first person to possess this kind of dark angel martial soul. It had never appeared before, so how could there be a rule? Qian Dalu was stunned by Wang Feng's words. Thinking about it, it made sense, because in history there had never been a dark angel martial soul like Wang Feng. There was not even a similar one. Naturally, there was no such rule. Previously, Bibidon warned him because he felt that this kind of dark angel martial soul must not be allowed to appear. That was why he chased after it. This was actually a subjective misconception of thinking. But now, this brat's words actually made some sense? Ha ha ha, Qian Dalu laughed. Brat, you are very smart. My angel tribe does not have this kind of martial soul. There is no such rule. I am indeed interested in your kind of martial soul. How could he not be interested? This thing was the only one in the continent. It was soulbound. There was only one of its kind. Not to mention that he was a member of the angel tribe. It was not impossible to capture him and study him first. Why did he have to kill him? So, Wang Feng slowly asked. So I still have to kill you? Qian Dalu said indifferently, because it is impossible for you to join the Martial Spirit Palace, and it is impossible for you to become a member of my angel tribe. Wang Feng. Chapter 458. F***CK. This old man is not that easy to fool. Wang Feng shrugged. He did not expect to be able to fool him with just a few words. All he was doing was stalling for time. Seems like you've accepted your fate? Qian Daolia's eyes flashed with golden light. His aura surged as if he was going to destroy Wang Feng in the next moment. But at this moment, another beam of golden light descended from the distance. It landed not far in front of Wang Feng. The person was wearing a snow-white robe. Her golden hair fluttered in the wind. Although Wang Feng could not see her face, he knew who she was just by looking at her back. Qian Rinxue. Wang Feng knew that Qian Rinxue would appear when he used the Dark Angel Martial Soul, because he could sense it. However, in the Pontiff's palace, Qian Rinxue was by Ning Fengji's side as Shueqinghe. It was not appropriate for him to appear. Grandpa, you can't kill him, Qian Rinxue said softly to Qian Dalu. Qian Dalu was stunned for a long time before he came back to his senses and said in a deep voice, Lil Shui, why are you here? He did not expect that the person who appeared at this moment was Qian Rinxue, his granddaughter who had been hiding in the Heaven Do Empire. Why was she here? Qian Rinxue was present in the competition just now. However, after Bibidan's attack and Tang Hao's appearance, Wang Feng was furious. She also left after Ning Fengji left. Then, she used the Dark Angel Martial Soul to sense that Wang Feng was not dead. That was why she followed him all the way here. She knew that her grandpa would definitely make a move. Get out of the way. This kid can't be left alive. Qian Dalu said in a deep voice. If this person is from the Angel clan, not only will I not kill him, I might even protect him. However, he is not from the Angel clan. Moreover, his angel martial soul is too dark and evil. The angel god will not tolerate the existence of such a martial soul. The last sentence was the real reason why Qian Dalu wanted to kill Wang Feng. Everything else did not matter. As the guardian of the angel god, this was what he had to do. No. Qian Rinxue said firmly, he saved me twice. I can't let you kill him. Behind him, Wang Feng was slightly silent. This was within Wang Feng's expectations. To be more precise, he had said a bunch of words just now to delay the 1,000 Dao flow. It would be best if he could fool them, but if he couldn't, he would wait for Qian Rinxue to appear. Saved you twice? Qian Dalu sneered. Is this the reason why you gave him my command medallion? Xiao Shui, have you ever thought that he might have saved you on purpose? Hearing this, Wang Feng was shocked. Wang Feng did have this reason to save Qian Rinxue, but Wang Feng hid it very well. Back in the Great Star Do Forest, Wang Feng saved Qian Rinxue from the pursuit of the blood-winged dragon beetle. There were several reasons. First, it was to prevent Qian Rinxue from suddenly dying and provoking Qian Dalu before the Martial Spirit Palace riot. Who knew what would happen to the continent then? Second, it was because Qian Rinxue was beautiful and big. Of course, Wang Feng could not see it at that time, but he could guess. Now, he could see it clearly. Third, which was the most important point, was that Wang Feng thought that if his Dark Angel Martial Soul was exposed one day and he was hunted down by the Martial Spirit Palace, would it be a turning point for him since he had saved Qian Rinxue twice? The last point was just Wang Feng's speculation from the original story. This was also one of the reasons why Wang Feng dared to come to the Pope's palace. But he did not expect Qian Dalu to be an old fox who could see this point. However, at this moment, Qian Rinxue shook her head and said, "That's impossible, Grandpa. I was dressed as a man, not as a woman. I used the alias Xuerinqian. He could not have known me. Even if he knew my angel martial soul, he would not know who I am, let alone your existence. He is just a young man from a small village. How could he know so much? On the contrary, he must have saved me because I am also an angel. Grandpa, he should be an angel too, because I had a connection with him 8 years ago." Qian Rinxue was right. From her point of view, Wang Feng could not know who she was, nor could he know about Qian Dalu. But Qian Rinxue would never know that Wang Feng was a time traveler who had read the original story, so he knew who she was long ago. Qian Dalu was silent. "Grandpa, if you want to kill him, then kill me first," Qian Rinxue said firmly. "I could not return his life, so I can only make up for it." Wang Feng was also silent. He did not expect Qian Rinxue to do this. Qian Dalu saw the determination in Qian Rinxue's eyes and knew that this child was serious. It was impossible for him to kill Qian Rinxue. Qian Rinxue, who had the 6-winged angel martial soul, was the hope of the angel race. In the future, he might even inherit the position of a god. How could he kill Qian Rinxue? Moreover, Qian Rinxue was his only family. "Grandpa, I know you are very strong. You can avoid me completely and kill him. But if that is the case, I will kill myself," Qian Rinxue said calmly. Qian Dalu took a deep look at Wang Feng behind her and closed her eyes. Seeing this, Qian Rinxue did not turn around. Instead, she said in a low voice, I don't know if I should call you Feng Yuxiu or Wang Feng. Or 911. Obviously, she knew that Wang Feng's identity had been exposed. You can call me Thanos, Wang Feng said. Qian Renxue was speechless. Let's go. Before my grandpa changes his mind, let's leave this place. Qian Renxue said softly. Thank you. Since I saved your life, we don't owe each other anything anymore. Wang Feng cupped his fist. After that, Wang Feng unfolded a pair of wings on his back and disappeared into a stream of light. During that time, Wang Feng had accumulated some soul power in his body. Although he could not teleport, flying was not a problem. He just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Qian Renxue stared blankly at Wang Feng's departing figure for a long time. Child, what happened between you and him? Qian Dalu walked to Qian Renxue's side and said in a low voice, Do you know what kind of person you let go? I know. Qian Renxue murmured. When Wang Feng's identity was exposed in the Martial Soul Palace, Qian Renxue was the most shocked. However, she did not show it on her face as Shueqinghe. But there was no doubt that Qian Renxue was really shocked at that time. Firstly, she was shocked by the other party's identity, and secondly, she was shocked by the other party's talent and strength. It was too terrifying. Wang Feng, 9111 Feng Yuxiu, these three people who had almost no connection with each other were actually the same person. It was Wang Feng who took advantage of her in the Great Soul Arena in Soto City more than 2 years ago. It was also Feng Yuxiu, who was filled with evil spirits in the Great Star Do Forest. It was also Feng Yuxiu, who was incomparably powerful and had saved her life. More importantly, it was 9111 who defeated the entire competition and created a legend. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.